All right. Welcome to episode 5 of the Ranch Roleplay podcast. My name is Just Gaming. I play the annoying little red-haired Mayor Valentine named Rainier, and I am 1% of the podcast. Over here to that side, we have the entire 99% of the brains, everything of the podcast, the main man himself. Let him introduce himself and why he wants this podcast to be successful.
I guess that's me. I would probably consider myself the other 1%, and then we have the remaining 98% as the people who join us here. Yeah, how about that cheap point? I'm Dip. I play the annoying ranch owner that yells at people and runs too fast and doesn't want people to put boxes on his property. And we're doing this to stay in touch, stay informed, and both us and everyone that's watching and listening or whatever. About different topics. There's been no streamlined topic. It's everything that we and you find interesting and that we want to discuss, and whoever actually wants to be here. So that's what we're doing. And we have 2 criminal masterminds with us today.
We do. We have Jim Butcher right here. Jim Butcher himself. All right, introduce yourself, 50.
How's it going? You all right? Yeah, I played Jim Butcher. Yeah, and I'm pretty wanted. He's still alive. He's not dead. But he's pretty shelved right now. I haven't really been on the character for a little while, but I heard that he was people were playing him on Halloween. Sorry. So yeah. We had the faction for like a year. And played from, I think it was September, maybe October. So yeah.
All right. What about the other 33.3% of the Jim Butcher gang? I only know Virgil Meredith, Robert Shackleton, Jim Butcher. So what about you, Sheep? Introduce yourself.
So I was Virgil Meredith to begin with. That was my original character in the Butcher Gang, but then after he died, I gave it some time before then taking on another character within the gang, which was Shannon Lane, which is who I'm here as today, I suppose. And there's actually 3 criminal masterminds here, because Douglas, I believe you're one of them as well, because I remember you did some shady shit when you was
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh no.
We don't. We've been careful.
I won't expose him too much.
Okay. All right. Well,
he's freaking out right now.
I'm a farmer. All right.
First off, again, thank you guys for being here. Like I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. But so everybody is aware right now, the reason why we're having the podcast is we want to show you guys how to, we have some of the best criminal role players on the server and how they build it up and how they come up with the characters. This is kind of
Rob.
Yeah, how Rob. Exactly. So I want to start out. We want to start out from the basics. How fuck you guys come up with your characters? Like why Jim Butcher? Why the name? Why the character? Why the traits? Like how Butcher?
So I joined the server because Coates, he was part of our group originally, and we were on another server. Which, am I allowed to mention other servers? I don't know. We played another community.
Shit, I knew.
We played. I'm not going to mention it now. We played another community, and Coates jumped across the ranch and told us about it, and we decided to hop on and have a go. Jim Butcher, believe it or not, is literally a throwaway character. I made him with the intention of like playing the server, learning it for a couple of weeks, and then just making a new character. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. He was actually called James Jordan to begin with, and my whole backstory was that he was like a wheelwright's son in Saint Denis that was disgraced and had this alter ego of Jim Butcher and would go off and rob with his gang. But I got an attorney to change my name quite early on because I thought, nah, fuck it, I can't be bothered with that. I just want to be Jim Butcher. I just want to keep that as the name. Yeah, I think it started out as 3 of us. I think it was Robert Shackleton, a guy called Glenn, but I can't remember what his character's name was at the time. But he used to play with us on another community for the first night, and then it just grew from there. there was no real plan at all. It was just we're going to create an outlaw gang, and that's it. And it kind of just radiated from there. And we based ourselves in Butcher Creek, which is a complete coincidence. Everyone always thought that's why we called ourselves the Butcher Gang, but we just happened to find it. I think right at the start of the server, when there wasn't much to do, we could grave rob, and we found that there was a grave that you could rob over in Butcher Creek, and the law didn't really know where it was. So that's basically where we started.
What about you? What about you, Sheet? What about Virgil Meredith? Was that you? Was that your original name? You come up with another name?
Yeah. So that was the pretty much the first one. I tend to put them in a random name generator, and it'll give me one name, and I'll be like, yeah, I like that. And then I'll just spitball. I'll just spitball like different names with people. I'll be like, yeah, I like the sound of that. Like I want it to sound like a kind of like a cool name which you'd hear in like a film, but not something so cliche. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the way I like to go. But it needs to be a unique name in one way or another. So like Virgil Meredith or Shannon Lane, like they all have something to it. Like they're both girls' names, generally speaking. Like Shannon, do you know what I mean? And Meredith as well. Like it always has. There's just something to snap out and grab your attention. Generally, that's the way I approach it.
So you said
like looking like a fish.
Yeah, and I make them look a specific way as well. Like they all have like features, really.
Yeah, Shannon was one of the ugliest characters I've ever seen. Still,
yeah, I mean you can see him on the stream, but his lips were massive, and like they just have prominent features in some area.
I remember I see Shannon first time, and before I heard you speak, I was like, who the fuck is this? Who is this guy? And then when I heard you speak, it's like, of course.
When you say you came over from another server, was that all of you together? Like Virgil, Robert, you, or?
Yeah, most of us. We'd all played together. So me and Sheep, Alex, Coates was in our gang on another server. And there was a couple of the people that didn't really stick around. But yeah, we mostly played on another server. We ran a different gang on another server, and the idea was exactly the same. It was like, we're going to create an outlaw gang. We're just going to go and commit crimes and do whatever. And I suppose the mentality there was more rob everybody and have no friends whatsoever. We didn't. Whereas here on Ranch, we made a point of we need allies because it helps us when we want to sell the things we've stolen, etc. But yeah, on the previous server, it was just rob everybody, and we got basically chased off of the server by vigilantes. So we did more or less the same thing, but I just don't think that server was as accommodating to illegal roleplay.
I don't think that server was nearly as well developed in the sense of like the roleplay that you could do either.
No,
because
not by any means.
Yeah, when we did it there, as you say, it wasn't that accommodating. But it was at the time where with Red M there was only like 30 player servers, so it was very empty. It didn't feel like it was thriving. Whereas that's obviously the benefit of OneSync.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was pre OneSync, wasn't it? There was three. Yeah. There was 3 servers, 3 32 slot servers, I think, or something like that. Was it 32 slot?
32 slot, yeah. And then we stopped playing for like a year, and then we came and joined Ranch after the fact. So it's not like we hopped from one server over to another. Coates just let us know that Ranch was was a new server and OneSync was available, so we thought we'd hop on over.
All right, cool. All right, nice.
Get the boys back together.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So what are some of the let's hear some of the stuff. Let's hear some of the stuff the Jim Butcher gang has done. You know, like some of the stuff that people know on the server. Okay, they did this, they did that. You know, I want to know what have you guys done? You know, we're not metaing here, but some of the stuff that you've done and we've moved on. There's no RP anymore in that.
I'm trying to think of some of our like best things we did. I mean, the bank robbery in Blackwater was probably the best one we ever did. I don't know if you agree.
I did enjoy that, but scheme-wise, which predates that a little bit, was the sheriff's office. We were wanted, so you broke me out from Fort Wallace after I got caught for killing Johnny Olsen. This was as Virgil Meredith, and they'd sentenced me to death.
Let's go back to that with killing Johnny Olsen.
Oh yeah, that was me. Well, this is the stuff I can't really touch on because it kind of intermingles with people's storylines, and I'm sure it's still going on, even though it was
No,
God knows, like 8 months ago.
Basically, what I want to hear is what have you guys done of good, like big criminal activities, and how have you incorporated other players on the server, other departments, other factions, so you can, to create more role play. You know what I mean? Like
so this is what I'm getting into. So
yeah.
After I was broken out from Fort Wallace, and Jim did that in an excellent way, by the way. He forged a marshal's certificate and like a marshal's like transfer paper
we'd bought a marshal's
from
badge
Arthur Longstreet.
from the gypsies.
Holy shit! That's so fucking smart, man.
Yeah, and then I actually have it. I don't know if it's something you can put on the stream, but I can send you it if it's something you want to showcase to people. But
whilst you look for that, so we'd bought quite a while before. We'd bought a deputy's badge and a marshal's badge from the gypsies in Saint Denis, who had stolen it from them, and they'd done a whole scene of stolen these badges from these lawmen, and then we bought them. And we didn't really know what we were going to use them for. We just thought they'd be cool to have if we got the roleplay to be able to explain it later on in the ticket. We can say, hey, look, this is what we're going to use these badges for. And then a couple of months later, Virgil Meredith gets captured for the murder of Johnny Olsen. And then I basically took this marshal's badge, put on a suit, and then we forged a document from Arthur Longstreet to have Virgil transferred to Siska from Fort Wallace, and I just rode up to Fort Wallace and got him out basically. And then after that, we decided we were trying to figure something out. It's like, how do we do it, and what we're going to do and hide. And I came up with a really stupid idea to basically say, why don't we just go and join a law department? Like, they ain't gonna know it's us. So like, this obviously now it's really hard to do. I don't even think it's possible now because you got to get whitelisted. But we were like, oh fuck it, let's have a go. And we raised a ticket, and I think maybe did we go direct? But we raised a ticket because we just said, look, this is what we're gonna do. Is it gonna be okay? Like, we don't want to break any rules. But also can the admins change our names like OSCD just to cover our asses for the metagaming? Because as soon as someone sees us in the law menu, they're gonna just go, what the fuck? So we had our names changed, and then it was all down to us to just go and join. And we did the interview, and like we're just there face to face with lawmen. And they're like,
we'd never really RP'd. Sorry to cut you off. We'd never really RP'd in Blackwater before. Like, it's an area we avoided, Baby Water. You know, like at the time, like that's what it was called. We just kind of
who was the
didn't
sheriff
RP
back
much
then?
around.
Baby Water.
It was Bird Meader.
Was it Bird?
Yeah, it was Bird. Bird was the sheriff.
And he gave us some brilliant RP as well. And there was even times where people would come up to us whilst we were in the sheriff's office and like, I've just seen Virgil Meredith fucking running about in Big Valley. And like, little did they know they're speaking to him. But obviously,
did you go on a hunt for yourself? Somebody.
Yeah,
like,
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, like I wasn't online, but like Virgil Meredith went on a hunt. Apparently Virgil Meredith had been sighted in Big Valley, so they rallied up a bunch of lawmen and went looking for Virgil Meredith in Big Valley. And Virgil Meredith was riding with them.
Bro,
It was brilliant. I enjoyed it. And in the meantime as well, obviously, from a roleplay point of view, like, my character was roleplaying the fear. So like when we'd do a prisoner transport over to Valentine, like I'd have to come up with an excuse to get away from there because I knew they knew me in there. So I'd be riding off an RP and like throwing up in the tree or in the bush or something. Like, because I had to signify the nerds, and obviously because of the faction showcase as well, we needed to get screenshots for that kind of stuff. So it was good to include that element. Yeah. And I'd be leaving details saying like there's vomit in the bush or whatever in it. It's just leaving hints for people so when they looked back they could see that that's what was actually happening. So on my first day in the sheriff's office, I was role playing, like looking over my shoulder constantly, like being really nervous, and then just saying, "Oh no, it's just my first day on the job. I've never done this before." You know what I mean? It's like, but obviously in hindsight, when they did look back to it, like, "Oh, that little fucker."
Yeah.
Didn't you become a deputy as well? Like, you passed your assistant deputy, whatever they call it. I don't do law roleplay, but yeah, like even you, I was always an assistant deputy, and I admittedly wasn't as active at the time as Sheep was. But but yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty crazy. Like whenever other lawmen used to come down to the Blackwater Sheriff's Office, we'd always like try and edge away a little bit or be a bit quiet, and I'd just stand there and not say anything because I was worried someone was going to recognize me or hear my voice or
Yeah,
something.
but you're always really good. I've noticed when I meet you in game, you're always really good at making slash me's that, you know, like, because when I think back of when I just met Jim Butcher the other day, you know, when I was talking about gangs and stuff like that, and I didn't know you, if I recognized your voice back then, I could have put two and two together by your slash me's as well. Because those would have given you away. Like, me as a player, at least, would have recognized it. Maybe not my character.
Well,
we both come from a tech RP background, don't we? So we like to make sure. Yeah, we like to make sure that the we like to make sure that the Mies are on point because it ultimately pulls people into the story. It shows them how we're interacting with the world, and it lets us describe our mannerisms in ways which aren't possible through traditional animation. You know what I mean? I see Brianna's just mentioned in chat as well. When I was in, like, we had an ongoing storyline with Brianna at a time, and like I think there was some conflict there. And it had been a few months since we'd seen her, and all of a sudden she's working inside Blackwater Saloon, and here comes Deputy Chip Donnelly, which was the alias I used, but it was actually Virgil Meredith, and he walks into Brianna, and like I have to kind of turn on roleplay mode and be like, right, I actually know this person. She's the one who could recognize me.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I don't think she actually gave me up, but maybe she did. I'm not
there
sure.
Must be
the interaction between them.
There must be an immense amount of fucking trust in your in the people that you play with. You know what I mean? Like, you have to trust them, the people, so much because you're running like anyone could be like, if they got a any inkling that that's Jim Butcher or that's Virgil Meredith, they're like, all right, we're giving him away instantly, or maybe say, all right, maybe I don't have to be like, because maybe it's me and not my character that, and just let the role play roll. The amount of trust you guys put into other players is amazing, man.
People are saying my volume might be a bit too loud.
Turn you down a little bit. There you go.
I think one of the main objectives we always had, which I guess is what's so important with the title of the podcast, is everything we did, we tried to make sure that we were creating roleplay for someone tomorrow. That was kind of the way we did things. It was always about, sure, we were enjoying ourselves, but the way that I think me and Sheep, we both, and our entire faction enjoyed it by everything we did was about creating roleplay for tomorrow. So it's like, sure, I could shoot a guy and drop him straight on his ass, but I could let him walk away and then he can tell people about this story, and it's kind of, it builds on the roleplay, and we do get quite a lot of messages that people say that it's still like some of the roleplay we've done and the way that we sometimes allow things to slide, or we don't kill people straight away, that people are still role-playing that part of their story now. I think there was a one where we found Evie out in Big Valley somewhere, Evangeline Calloway, picking herbs, like, and we were robbing them, sure, but like we were like, well, what else can we do with this? She runs a bookstore, and at the time we were running moonshine, and we sort of said, well, have you got any books on herbs and stuff? And so we kind of set up a thing where she was going to deliver these books. But I think Evangeline Calloway said to me, like, she was still role playing Fear and not leaving Blackwater like a month later. So it's quite cool that, just by not just emptying our pockets and sending her on her way, like, we actually then created more roleplay for her as well, and for other people, all the lore that were involved, and that was always what we did. Every day was always about, like, how can we actually make this interesting for more people.
And it's the same with Marceline Meady as well, who was Bird Meady's wife in West Elizabeth Sheriff's Office. Like, she was confiding in Virgil about her relationship troubles. Only, you know what I mean? Like, she saw him as a friend, only to it then be stripped away. Like, I made sure to, like, develop that relationship. So then when it did come out that I am who I am, it was kind of troublesome for the character, so they could work it around that. Like, it's all about building relationships, and, like, obviously and it's not even in the moment either. Like, we plan stuff like this, like, from an out of character point of view. Like, we'll have discussions saying, like, how can we evolve the story, like not in like a scripted way, but in the sense of
Yeah, no,
we
no, no.
want
I
this to
get it.
happen naturally, but like what kind of
Yeah.
things do we need to do to get to these points?
It's a bit of a controversial topic. I think some people think like absolutely no scripting, no metagaming, no nothing. And we always kind of had the
It's
sure
a fine line, but yeah.
we did talk about things that were silly, but like we never scripted, but we just kind of had an idea of like, and we go, no, I think we really need to kind of try and push this direction because it'd be better for these people. And we'd always try and there's guys in the chat going, now we should not, sorry, like in our faction Discord sort of going, now we should just fucking go online and kill these guys, like fuck these guys. And I'm like, no, let's do this and let's try and make it a bit more interesting and create more of a story from it, and rather than just go in and kill people.
And it was always from the characters' points of view as well. It's like they're saying, "Oh, fuck these guys." That's not like an out of character like assembly against any group. It's more so our characters would probably react this way, react that way. So it's just spitballing ideas based on how the characters would react. It was always character based. That's just how we played. We had to.
But
I guess you also come to a point like where if you have role playing stories with other people, like if you want to really create something good, you also kind of have, depending on how deep those people are in something else, be it law or civs or other crims, you kind of have to somehow discuss what direction are we going to take, because they have stories for the characters they want to develop, but they also have their own completely separate thing. And if you want to be able to create a story out of that, I remember with the Olsens and you guys, we did that a bit, because there is obviously the story part, tiny bit.
Can we go into detail about the Butcher Gang and the Olsen's relationship? Or no?
I would love to, but I would love to start, because we also have.
You can't stop me.
No, I want to, but I want to take the Jim Butcher Gang from kind of the beginning, because what you guys do is very, very different from the usual, find somebody on the road between
hands.
roads. Exactly. Just rob, take, leave, right? Because we also have these things where we want the crims to be, when you start on the server, you want your character to have a reason to go this direction, right? You don't just go in, get a stick of dynamite, rob a bank. So how did that develop for your gang?
We actually didn't rob a bank for ages, but I guess we'll come back to that. But yeah, we just so one of the things was there's the dynamic of the faction. So like every single character in it is a character, is a personality, and you'd have like, whilst we're there robbing someone, I'd be like barking orders and trying to be in control, but you'd have like Virgil Meredith getting all hyperactive because he's like, someone's got some nice shoes on. Virgil Meredith used to take other people's clothes. Then you've got
that a trade?
In the least strange way possible. That's what he did. It didn't extend past like boots and belts, you know what I mean? I wasn't walking around in people's fucking linen.
Was that like personal trophies for Virgil, or what was it?
No, he just wear the boots. It's just even though I was spending money on new clothes, the roleplay behind having those clothes was I took these off this guy. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a story to everything. It ties in with the me's and do's, like /do. If I run into the same guy again, it's /do. You might recognize your boots. Or something like that.
Yeah. Give something back to him like that. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Brenna's just put a point in chat like about the peaches and beans. Like one of the things we discussed was like, guys, like the things that are valuable to us is fucking food. Like we need food and ammunition. So like they don't cost much, but we would just take things like that, and Virgil would get really excited about it, and then we'd split the pot and stuff. But you had lots of personalities. So you had Big Ken, who played like kind of the character, I guess, was inspired by Lenny from Of Mice and Men? Kind of like a real dim-witted character, massive, built like an absolute brick shithouse, but just really dim-witted. And like you could tell him to do anything, and he'd go, okay, and just go and do it. So we kind of made a point of having characters that were all personalities. Everyone had their own individual thing. You had Junior, who joined us for a while. I don't know if he still plays anymore, but Junior was like this real short, 4 and a bit foot, like I guess
aggressive.
aggressive. Yeah, he was super aggressive, and he always was like, "Can I cut him?" And I'm like, "No, you can't, Junior. No, put your knife away."
Imagine like, come on, Jim, let me cut him.
But like, yeah, every scene was us
that's
arguing.
The thing, we were all asked. Yeah, sorry,
yeah, yeah. It was our scene was always us arguing with each other as we're robbing them. But then like when Shannon Lane came in later on, like Sheep then kind of portrayed this like fear of Jim at the same time. Like he would like probe Jim or try and challenge him, and then I would like bark back at him, and then like sort of back down. He was almost like a lapdog.
Oh, sorry, boss. I didn't mean it like that, boss. I swear. At the end of the day, we're supporting characters.
Yeah, and yeah, that's.
But it goes to build the story. Even though we're supporting Jim, it goes to build the story for the gang as a whole. Like as it creates this hierarchy and this dynamic. Even though the hierarchy on an OLC level, we're all pitching in ideas. When it comes to IC, like Jim's the one who fronts those ideas, and we're like, "Oh shit, boss! I think that's a real good idea, even if it's a shit idea." It's like
I did have a few shit ones. I mean, I had a few good ones, but occasionally I made some shit ideas. But yeah, like so one of the biggest things as well was which I think you were about to say then, Sheep. Sorry, and I interrupted you. Is Jim Butcher's reputation would not be possible without the supporting characters. So, like, sure, it's called the Butcher Gang. It's only called the Butcher Gang because Jim leads it. It's our faction, OSC, we run it together, but kind of it's a weapon for the faction to bolster his reputation. Because later on, we could say to anybody, Jim Butcher wants to meet you, and they would meet us because we'd all work together to build that reputation, to kind of create that character. And I got that from a book and a TV series that I fucking love, and kind of the idea of like creating a character out of nothing. But and then the reputation that he had, a lot of it was like nowhere near what actually happened. And it became like a kind of myth and legend type of thing, but it was just because all the supporting characters pushed that, and in scenes where we argue with one another and things like that. So, yeah,
but it was like we were intentionally picking up on the flaws and making an issue of it in character to then bring people into the story and make it immersive. Like whenever we interacted with someone, they could always see into the gang. We'd give them a glimpse as to like the fraction. Like, not necessarily the fractures, because I mean the fractures were almost forced in a way, in the sense of like the arguing in game and stuff, because that's kind of the scene we wanted to portray. But it did happen when other people weren't around as well. Like obviously we RP'd the same way when no one else was around, and it kind of went to play the story, and we did that from the very beginning as well. So in answer to your question, Dip, how we actually progressed from the start going onwards, it was just that all the way through, but then rolling with the punches too. So whenever an error would come up in further down the line, as a result of something we'd done in character, we'd react in the way we taught ourselves to react on behalf of our characters. So we got immersed. We got immersed in it.
Yeah, but I must have. Go on.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, I must admit, with my particular character, Jim Butcher, like he was a throwaway character. He had no personality. I didn't put any effort into the creator. He looks generic as hell. I didn't even do a voice. And I did not intend to actually continue playing Jim. So if I'm honest, like Jim's basically myself. But it just happened that way, and I guess then you get immersed. And as time went on, it kind of did change a bit, but.
Yeah, building some traits, some weaknesses along. Yeah.
The intimidation factor was there as Jim, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Is that you saying you find me intimidating?
No, you're not scary at all.
But I want to touch on.
I got a photo on my phone. Just remember.
You guys.
I'm scared.
You guys, when you you guys have obviously, you've been here for a long time, and you've interacted with so many people and have influenced so many people's stories, including myself. Like one of the first things that kicked off my characters, one of the big storylines was me Coates, again, you guys, Coates said to you to join. Coates told me in game one of my very first day, he handed me a Robert Shackleton poster and a Virgil Meredith Warner poster. Go out and look for these guys, all right? They're last time seen in Butchers Creek and or Blackwater or something like that. So I went out looking for you guys. You know what I mean? You guys have obviously touched a lot of people and a lot of story arcs, helped them or been involved in one way or another. Right. What are some of the things that you guys think that some of the criminal characters, new starting criminal characters that want to start a criminal arc or just create a criminal character in general? What are some of the things that you see that you think they shouldn't be doing that? They should try and steer it toward this way. Obviously, the hands. As Dip said, rob, take, and then fuck off. Don't leave them with anything. What are some of the advice that you guys would think that, all right, this is good for starters?
I got a really big one, if I can say it before you shoot.
Yeah, go
Is
for it.
trying to be a famous outlaw. Too many people do it. They rob people and they're like, yeah, you could tell him it was roadside robbery Randall.
Roadside robbery Randall.
Yeah, it's a guy that's good friends of us. He was Clifford Rook, and but like,
Oh.
no, he's a good guy. I'm not dogging him, but just the first name that came to my head. Too many people sort of want to be this stone cold famous outlaw, and they go robbing people, and they all they're looking for is to be known and be famous. And I think we literally did not do that. Like for months, we didn't do it. We just robbed people. We used fake names and like fake aliases and stuff, or like we'd call each other like Black Hat, Black Pants, Red Shirt, like whatever. Like to in the moment, we just come up with those names of what you're wearing to try and like describe them.
We'd hide. We were very, very low key a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
scared. We were role playing being scared.
Yeah, we're definitely scared. So yeah, we robbed people, but ultimately the way that I kind of played it, I've done a lot of like mafia roleplay on GTA, and it was always about make money and don't get noticed. So yeah, that's literally what we did here. Is like make as much money as you can. Don't do anything too loud. So we didn't do banks because we wanted to stay away from law attention all the time. Don't get in shootouts because we just want to not build that notoriety and the interest so quickly. We're happy to let people like bigger factions at the time, like the Gypsies, to do all that, whilst we go and do the little things and make money here and there, and $60 there and $30 somewhere else, and let them do the big stuff. And I think that goes on to the whole roleplay pacing thing. Is you don't need to go and rob a bank on day one. Just go and do little things and make a bit of money, and also ranches. Admittedly, we did rob a couple of ranches early on, and I know that's a thing that a lot of starting up factions do, and I think it can be a problem. One of the things that we started doing to try and combat that was, instead of just going straight into a ranch and hands up, hands, take all the stuff, was we'd target a cattle ranch and we just go and just kind of take a couple of hostages of the ranchers and then just kill the cattle, take the beef and leave. We wouldn't actually rob the players.
We wouldn't even take hostages. We'd roleplay, putting like I have a screenshot of myself like resting my gun in my lap. Like my gun's not even. I think my gun is in my hands, but I never pointed it at anyone. We just go up to them, and we'll say, "All right, you ain't gonna move. I'm only here for your cattle. I don't want to hurt you." Like just shit like that, and we'll just take like one cow, and then we'll go and we'll be like, "That's all I wanted. You stay there. You keep doing your work. Go fill those buckets."
I gotta ask from. Okay, so now, I know that you two are the guests right now, but as a ranch owner that also has cattle on their ranch, Dip, you get someone come up to you on your ranch and they put a gun in your face,
we robbed you recently.
Oh. Okay. Well, he looks like he doesn't even know.
Oh yeah, no. Recently is a different.
Well, for
not
me, it's
that
recently,
recent.
but
Yeah. Yeah. No,
No,
they
but
did.
what do you
did.
feel about it, Dip? Like, what do you feel? Like, someone come up and do that and not rob you and your people, you, Goose, Betty, everyone. Like, they come, put a gun on you, say, don't move a muscle. We're just here for the cattle. Like, whoa, what do you think of it? I think it's great, personally, but.
It is, and I'm sad to say it's actually only ever that exact way has only ever happened once.
Oh, really?
And it was when 50 did it. Yeah.
It's
the only time it's ever happened. Because usually it's just, they hop in and they, poach it and then they skedaddle as fast as they can. Because there is no monetary value in it. And that's the main point, because the robberies, the best ones, even though I've had two very memorable, very, very, very good scenes where I'm pretty confident more or less everything that could be stolen was stolen. Yet the scenes that were created from it were so good that I don't remember what was stolen. I don't remember. And one of them, Sheep will know which one that is,
Oh yeah.
because that one was incredible. But the fact that when you go into it and your intention is to create story, I think from the get go there you're gonna get so much more. If you go in there to that ranch with the mindset that this cattle is worth more than $1.50. This cattle is what feeds these ranchers. This cattle is what feeds the ranch hands and the people around everybody, right?
It's what feeds us in the camp, you know. It's like
Exactly.
It's like the personal value of it in that moment.
Exactly.
From your
So
character's point of view.
so obviously, I came to a very quick point as well as a ranch owner, and I think that everybody that either has a ranch or works there very very quickly gets like they get numb when it comes to shit RP when it's criminal, but they get very very accepting of the good kind.
Mm-hmm.
And the second somebody comes in and I notice these guys want to do criminal stuff and they want to create a scene, I'm like, give it. I'm all for it. And
Let him have it. Let him have it.
Yeah, yes, the scene that we did with what's that gang called? 50.
Which game? Sorry.
The gang, the one where you were there recently at Emerald.
Oh, well, we didn't really create anything in the end, but we trialed having a faction of U.S. cavalry deserters, and we kind of wrote a bit of lore, and we went in game one night, and we're like, yeah, let's play. Ink's laughing in chat, I think, because he was part of it. But yeah, we turned up at the ranch, and all we wanted was some food, and we took. I think did we take somebody hostage? I can't remember. I think you
Yes.
guys all walked away, and then we had one person stood with us, and we were like, right, you ain't gonna say a fucking word. You're gonna stand right there. You're gonna do as we tell you to do. And then we basically just said we're here for food, and it was a stick up. But I don't really think anybody was pointing guns too much.
Not really. No, it was you guys wanted the cattle, and I think that gave the opportunity to be able to kind of ping pong between the Civ and the Crim because then
It was-
Doug would obviously ask why, because what do you need it for, and they said they were hungry, and then he just offered food instead, right? Because for him the cattle has much more value than just the the 3 units of beef you get that you can then grill. Like, these guys are hungry, and Doug's going on a rant and says about how his dad would disown him if he ever let anyone leave the ranch with an empty stomach.
And that's the story which we want you to provide to us as criminals, or which we wanted everyone to provide to us as criminals. We wanted that because we could see quite early on that civilian RPers, not even just anybody you're robbing isn't receptive to being robbed if you're not providing them something in return, and it's very.
I think that's such a right there, Sheep. That's such a fucking key fucking element there that I wish people would take from this podcast right now. Sorry to interrupt, but that is so fucking important. You guys hear that? Like, saying that as a criminal, my first and foremost priority is to give some RP to these people so they can take something away from it, because otherwise they won't be receptive. Bro, those are fucking magical words, man.
It's true.
Well, we had that in our mindset very early doors as we were developing the gang. So I think people were receptive to the gang in general because they knew how we went around, and we used roleplay and the story as as a weapon within itself. Like, not just like having allies and the people that we know, but the things which we do are credited with doing, which we didn't actually do. It's like, that would be the threat, and that's all that's needed. But it pulls you into like the world almost, and because they're very real threats in a way. But we often wouldn't attack anybody. I think we got into like 4 gunfights in like a year of being on the server.
Rarely ever got in gunfights. I for a long time. I probably don't challenge me. I thought I was an awful conflict player. Like, I thought I was awful at shootouts. But every single one we got into, we somehow fucking fluked. I don't know how. Like, I think I'm a shit conflict player, but I mean, we're jumping like left, right, and center. But the best shooter we ever got involved in was in the Bayou. We tried to rob the Bayou Saloon, and like we took hostage like 3 or 4 people, and then like 3 more came out and we took them hostage, and then 5 people arrived, and it was like, oh my god, this is too much.
There was about 20 people versus about 3 of us, and we just
It
let
was
it happen.
insane.
It all happened so naturally,
Yeah.
and it was just brilliant. And like we were all shooting like, "Fuck, Jim, get back here! I don't want you to go down, boss."
It was just
And,
as the update came out to make guns less accurate, and I think it
Yeah.
got patched later because they were so inaccurate. But it made the shootout so fun, and we were in the shootout, and people are running out of ammo. People are like having to clean their guns, and like I was there splitting stacks of ammo like in cover for people because it was like it's so intense this shootout. It was going on for ages, and we dropped back from the Bayou Saloon all the way through the Bayou over the bridge, and like, we were holding the bridge as all our sort of guys were coming over. It was so good.
Robert Shackleton got caught, and he just went
yeah.
with it, and then he was in jail
Yeah.
for 6 months.
So that was
like 6 months of real time.
Was that what sentenced
Yeah.
him to life?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got caught from
Oh.
that. Yeah.
He got caught, so he was overweight because again, it was when they brought the weight thing out where you couldn't run when you got lots of weight on you, and
Yeah.
he jumped on his horse, and his horse wouldn't run,
Oh.
so he was fucked, and he got off his horse, and then like we've all started backing away, and we tried to come back for him, but we got pushed back again. So like we dropped back off the bayou, realized we didn't have Robert Shackleton, started pushing again to get in there to try and get him out, and yeah, it's just. It was so good. I mean, not for Shackleton. I think he was really bummed out. But like, for us,
The actual scene was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he got caught for that, but because he beheaded Johnny Olsen is why he got the 6 months. Like they were
Yeah.
looking for him for a very long time.
Yeah.
But, I
But
mean,
we were very elusive as well. Like that's part of it. Like even though we were a gang with notoriety, we were hiding a lot of the time, and that's what kind of added to the mystique really of it all. So when they did finally start catching people, it actually felt rewarding because it's not like they'd caught us ever before. I think the first time they caught Virgil was about 2 weeks into me playing the server, and then they never saw me again because we were just operating under the radar, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it made it a lot more immersive and realistic, like real feeling. When you don't see these people, you're only hearing what they're doing because we're constantly avoiding towns and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for the vast majority of the faction, Jim was wanted or whatever, and I couldn't go into towns. I literally had to send people to go and get me things like food, water, fill my flasks, and I could not go into towns. And for a solid like 3 months, I didn't go into any town at all. And we did all of our roleplay outside of towns, and had to get people to meet us. We didn't use telegrams because we were like worried about them tracking telegrams and stuff. So. Yeah, for a really, really long time.
Yeah, because sorry, I remember because one of the trivia questions is that you that gave me the trivia for that. One of my trivia what's the longest time someone's been wanted for, and it's 165 days. That's you.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah, 165 days being wanted.
Yeah, and then
is that one of those things that Lau puts out?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's you.
Yeah. But then, so we had that, and then obviously, like Jim Butcher is wanted now, and I don't know if it's over the 165 days. It might be. I have no idea. But yeah, the first time I was wanted, I think like day 2 of being on the server. Funnily enough, I went grave robbing in. You can't grave rob there anymore. Where is it? Outside Armadillo. I went grave robbing out there like on my second day on the server, and Coates arrested me with all the marshals. And there's a screenshot of Jim Butcher like on day 2 when no one even knows who he is, with all the marshals crowded around him, like arresting him for grave robbing. And I think I gave them a fake name. I can't remember, but yeah, they obviously it was never on file. Like, but then after that, I never got caught. Like that was it. So it was the one time I did grave robbing day 2. Then it was the first time I got caught after like 165 days. I can't remember why I got caught or how I got caught. It was the setup. We got set up. So we were part
Say
of a big
the
job.
setup. What's the setup? What's that?
Yeah, we were part of a big job to plan a robbery for Blackwater, and it wasn't our job. We were just sort of involved in it, and some of our members were involved. And if I remember at the time, I wasn't keen on the job because I didn't know the people and didn't trust the people. But we kind of played it in character, and Jim wasn't actually in the job. Some of his members were doing it just to get a bit of cash, because the way we worked it was basically everybody in the gang kicks up like sort of a bit of money every week, a bit like what they do in the story mode. That's kind of how we did it. So these members had found a job, they were going to go and do it, and they were going to then kick up some cash to the gang fund. And Jim wasn't actually involved in it, but I sat on the hilltop outside Blackwater and watched it all happen, watched the law chase them out of Blackwater. But ironically, the whole thing was a setup. They knew the Butcher Gang. They were trying to pull the Butcher Gang into the job to lure the Butcher Gang out to the open, and the marshals were waiting the whole time to ambush us on the escape route to get us. And they were just lucky that I was there at the time. I wasn't even in the job. I wasn't involved in it, but other members were, and I got caught. So I was just riding past, and they realized it was me. But that was what was his name? I can't remember the character's name.
Cash Neverhood, Buck Austin.
Buck Austin. So that was Buck Austin. So he
Okay.
set us up. Buck Austin was a lawman when we were hiding in Wesso, and he was a lawman in Valentine. And he basically created a character that his vendetta, or I don't know, his character's vendetta was to come after the Butcher Gang. He'd heard all about the Butcher Gang, and he wanted to be the one to take him down. So,
And because I'd heard that on Virgil Meredith, I got what was his name? Blaze Riley. I got him to send a telegram to Wesso, saying that Buck Austin's snitched, essentially. But Buck Austin is an informant.
So you learned that while Virgin Motive was hired at
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got Buck Austin. I got Blaze Riley to send a telegram to Wesso, and then I removed the telegram. Roleplayed burning the telegram, photoshopped some artwork of a burnt telegram, and intentionally left it by the wood burner. So when the marshals, obviously someone found it, they reported it to the marshals, and when the marshals came, I think Blaze Riley had gotten caught, unfortunately, and he'd ratted out me to try to save his own skin, which is fair.
Basically,
that's when I got caught. But
we tried
6 months later, tried to frame Buck Austin, but 6 months later, when I was on Shannon, we ran into him again, and obviously Jim was in Wesso as well, so he recognized Buck Austin. Like those two actually had like a history with each other, which spanned like 6 months. Like there was a big story there, and we happened to find out where he lived. Like we strolled up on him whilst he was at his house.
Just by luck, we found his house.
We were gonna rob him, his house.
Yeah. we were gonna rob his house, but then again, this is just in the moment thing. We weren't talking to each other, OSC, nothing, and it was just I was like in my head, I'm sat there behind my screen thinking, now we can make this more interesting instead of me just shooting him here on the spot outside his door. So we kind of befriended him, and then the lawman that killed Virgil Meredith, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, I'm terrible.
Monica Mendoza,
thank you. We wanted to get to her to kill her for vengeance for killing Virgil Meredith. And we were going to use Buck to do it. And I bought him a knife with his initials engraved on it. And it was a gift to say, we're going to cut out all the bad history between you and I, and we're going to move on. What we actually wanted to do was basically get him to flash this knife around, tell his friends he's got this new custom knife that's cost a lot of money. He's got his initials on it. And then we were going to kill Monica Mendoza with this knife and then leave the body in the knife somewhere. But that never happened. And
he ratted on us first. Which
he
is,
ratted on us
again,
before
fun.
it happened. So like he didn't know. He'll probably find out here in this podcast. But that was never. He never knew that until perhaps now that we were going to betray him. But he betrayed us first, basically.
Oh wow.
So this bank robbery that was planned, yeah, he'd set that all up with the law, and they were waiting for us on the escape. So they got everybody, and I watched them, the marshals capturing everybody. And from a distance, and then they saw me and they caught me as well. So that was the first time I went to Sisika. And then after that, it was like, that was the first time in like 165 days that I could actually go anywhere I wanted and do whatever I wanted because I wasn't wanted anymore.
Felt good, didn't it?
I felt amazing. And I remember Coates was telling us a couple of days later, he was like, dude, every time you went into a new town, we got telegrams saying the Butcher Gang's in town, the Butcher Gang's in town. And it was like a live map of where we were because I could go anywhere I wanted now, and I could like be calling out my name, and like we'd all be laughing and talking, and we could go and play poker, and it was the first time we could do that, like from almost our entire server history.
I remember that because I was walking around like I was telling like people like, why are you out? Why you don't belong here? You're supposed to be behind bars. I think I even said it to your face once.
I think the case got thrown out, if I remember correctly. They didn't have enough evidence, or they had no evidence, so the case got thrown out. So Butcher didn't get the life sentence or executed or anything. But yeah, like we were walking through town, and I must admit we were being arrogant as hell. But it was funny because it was like we got out, so we were like face to face with Parrot's character, White Sharp, and we were like, yeah, if you'd done your job properly, yeah, we wouldn't be in this situation. And we were just winding people up, and we were going from Valentine to Strawberry to Blackwater, and yeah, and Coach was telling us like days later, he said, dude, like every time you went to a new town, telegrams are just popping up going, Butch Gang's here, Butcher's there, and whatever. So and then we kind of things carried on from there, and I think I got wanted again for was it the Blackwater Bank we did?
Yeah, so we did the bank robbery, and at that time we kind of just embraced like, all right, everyone's seen us now.
Everyone knew who we were.
The notoriety kind of came naturally anyway.
I remember you guys were talking about that Blackwater Bank. You guys were saying that was one of the good things. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, we kidnapped 3 people. Months before, all of our stories, we end up acquiring stuff. So we stole a prison wagon and roleplayed stashing it.
Yeah,
and I told the admins that that's what I'd done, and like I'm gonna want it at a later date because it's setting up stuff for the story. And they said, yeah, that's fine. And then I unstashed it, and then we rode it around a specific route on the way to Blackwater, and we were picking up people on the way. I'm like, all right, I'm going to need you to handcuff yourself and get in the back of this wagon. And they got in the back of the wagon. We put them on the hill outside Blackwater. We had a person up on the hill with a Molotov who could be seen from the main strip of Blackwater Bank. 3 people inside the prison wagon, and then 1 inside the bank. And then, yeah, we just kind of said, all right, it's fucking. I'm gonna have to get in character now. All right, Shannon Lane here. I'm here to rob the goddamn bank. You know, it's like we kind of just went with it. Like we just announced your own who name. We were.
But after a while, I think after we'd spent a lot of time developing the faction, and obviously that first round of being wanted, and we got caught, and Butcher went to Siska, and then we were being arrogant.
Which was a 7-month storyline.
Oh yeah, like that was like 7 months already, and I think I can't remember.
I think I was wanted at this point as well already. I think I had kidnapped someone and I was wanted, so I had the wanted poster, and so did Johnny Cipriani, and we signed the wanted posters and left them in the bank.
Yeah. But I remember after a while though, like after we'd built that notoriety, after like 7 months, we kind of it sounds really bad, but like in every scene, we kind of knew that if we told people who we were, we'd get a good scene because they wouldn't just think we're some random criminals that are going to shoot them on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So after we spent a long time developing a good reputation, it got to a point where people knew who we were anyway, and actually our reputation was more of a weapon to us because we could just say like, well, like I didn't need to wear a mask, and you just be like, well, I'm Jim Butcher. Show us your fucking hands, and they would because they were going to get a good scene, and that was quite fun.
But you deserve that. Like you with the stories you created, that's just
that amount of slow burn RP and building that up, because I wish people would listen to this and listen and go, all right, so it's not just about going in and creating a character with a crim background and just go fucking guns blazing from day one. Oh, listen to this shit. It's been someone that's built up 165 days of being on the run and now doing it again, and just by the name of Jim Butcher Gang, you can get that respect because people, as you said yourself, you have provided your gang, you and your people have provided so much great RP that when they hear that name, when they recognize that voice, they go, oh, we in for some good RP now, boys. Let me lean back and get ready for this RP.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's basically, we just put a lot of time and effort into developing this faction, and we, like I say, we with our faction on another server, we always played for the like false identities, and we'd hide and we wouldn't try and be famous, and we never were really. But on this server, it just happened. I think the time that it happened was when the trains first came to the server. We robbed the train, and Johnny
With
Olsen,
Johnny Olsen, yeah.
before Johnny Olsen was killed because we thought he was a snitch.
Wait, hold. You thought he was a snitch, and that's why you
We'll
killed
get to
him?
it. We'll get to
Oh,
it.
okay.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We're jumping the storyline so much because
Back and forth, yeah.
I don't remember things, and I'm like, oh, I remember that now. But yeah, so we robbed a train, and it was by like absolute luck. So the trains had just landed on the server. It was like day 2 or 3. Nobody had robbed a train yet, and everyone was quite shocked because the rumor was going round that we'd been told by other gangs was the trains are not allowed to stop for anything. They just stop at stations. That's it. They don't stop for nothing. And we had a wagon, and this was before wagons were purchasable. And we'd RP'd lashing up some horses to a wagon for a job. And we basically what we do is we used to park up on the side of the road with a wagon, and a guy would be like pretending to fixing the wheel, or he'd just like ragdoll on the floor, and we'd make it look like a kind of crime scene, and then someone would stop to ask if he's okay, and then we'd all run out the bushes and rob them. And we had this wagon for one of those, and we heard a train come in, and we thought, fuck it, let's try. So the train hit this wagon, it went fucking flying, and the train stopped, and we were like, oh shit, we didn't expect it to stop.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
We did. Yeah, literally everything we did, and I used to say this a lot. And Benny used to say to me, "You're like Heath Ledger's Joker." And because I said once, we just do things. Like I don't have a plan. We just do it, and we just make it up on the spot. And yeah, we robbed the train, and we barely got anything. I think I got $16 out of it. Like it was shit. So
we role played handcuffing people
Yeah,
to the back of the train, like on the tracks.
Yeah.
So like,
And
they were
we-
handcuffed to the rail, and then they were going with it too.
Yeah, we role played searching the train, and obviously we got $16. And we didn't. I don't recall taking any guns off them. Maybe we did. I think we role played taking them from them, but didn't actually physically take them. And we do that. We
Yeah,
did
I
that a
think
lot.
so.
We just scroll them off their hotbar to put them in their inventory, and then we just kind of make it clear that we're role playing taking them.
Yeah.
We don't want them. It's just that don't use them, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of role played cuffing 2 guys at the back of the train, and then we separated out the 3. There was 2 security and 1 conductor. We separated them out, and the conductor made a run for it, and Johnny Olsen ended up killing him. We didn't really want to kill anybody because it was the first time during a job we'd actually killed somebody that hadn't shot back at us, sort of thing.
So he CK'd the train conductor. He CK'd that?
Well, I don't remember who the train conductor was, but I think he CK'd because he knew he'd fucked up. I think.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm fairly. I wasn't involved in that part of the scene because I was at the back of the train, but I think he was searched and had his gun taken from him, but he still pulled his gun. I don't know. But anyway, the conductor CK'd, and we didn't care. Like it was, he CK'd, so there's no need to report him. Like he gets it. That's why he CK'd.
It created for a great story for us.
And it did. The fact that he CK'd fucked us over because we just murdered somebody. It was the first person we'd murdered. So to try and like tide it over, I guess. And at the time, I'm thinking we've been going for quite a long time now, like 6 months, without really anybody knowing who we are. I basically said to the 2 security guys in the back of the train, take this train back to Valentine and tell them that it was the Jim Butcher gang. And then after that, like we were all sat there panicking, going, "Fuck!" Like that's gonna be big. And then after that, like it just exploded. We were wanted as fuck. Posters everywhere. Like every town had a poster in it, and that's when then we were hiding for like the 165 days and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the train really that did it. I think it was the first train that got robbed. We literally got $16. It wasn't worth it at all. But
for the story, it was.
For the story, it was massive. And it was,
yeah,
the guy,
100%.
because he CK'd, it like just made it 10 times worse because this guy had been murdered. So
but it was so unexpected though. It was like a bomb. It was like a bomber just gone off in the middle of us. Like it was fucking. It was crazy when we found out like he's dead. We were like, "What do you mean he's dead?"
Johnny just comes like walking from the trees with this guy over his shoulder, and is like, "Oh, he made a run for it, so I killed him." And then like he's like,
got
he's
like a
dead.
hole in his head. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah. So we were like, "Oh shit." So yeah, we did that job, and then from there it just erupted. But we were on the run for a long time, hiding, no telegrams, all that sort of stuff. And then obviously that first time we got caught in the setup, that was the first time we were able to just go out and really like dick swing. And we did. like fuck, we dick swing so much, and it was like to a point where it's like, we need to rein it back a bit because this is taking the piss.
It was in a respectful way though. It wasn't like
yeah.
It's not like we're big and bad. It was more so like from my character, obviously being the supporting character. Going back to that, it was like, you don't know who this is? It's goddamn Jim Butcher. You respect him. It's like just making like keeping people in line when the steps up. It was letting people know who he was, but in a way which kind of grounded it in the story.
Yeah.
That was the main goal.
It was good. I mean, I remember one guy said to me once, he challenged me to a duel, and I obviously didn't want to duel because I want to get CK'd, and I was like, you ain't famous enough to fight me, boy. Like the entire town erupted with laughter, and I'm there like fucking hell.
It was one of the coldest lines. It was one of the coldest lines ever lined on Sharpie, I think.
No, but that's so true though. You want your fame in one split second of a duel? Fuck you! I worked hard for this shit, man. You're not getting all this for that little.
Well,
I felt so mad.
If we'd have died in a good scene at any point, we'd have CK'd.
Oh yeah,
100%. Like Virgil CK'd on a whim. I did know it were coming in fairness, but I CK'd. You just go with it. It's like Shannon. The moment we got a good scene, it was that's it, over.
One thing I want to ask, because I read this somewhere. I cannot remember where the frick I read this. But I read that, back in the days, people weren't called this and that. They were literally just called by the outlaw that started it. His name, Jim Butcher Gang. That's what they were called back then.
Yeah, that's why we did it. So we always set off, and I always said, if I die, if I CK, whoever is the next one to take it, we'll rename it, and it'll be that person. So it'll be the Meredith Gang or the Shannon Lane Gang, whatever.
Yeah.
So much more immersive, man.
Yeah,
so much more immersive.
And I always said I'd be willing to CK. But to be honest, the scene just never came up, and or the role play was never all the things were just not quite right to do it, and it would have fucked us over. So I was quite willing to CK when I think Virgil Meredith died, and it was like, now we don't have a well-established kind of character to lead it. And yeah, I guess it just never came up. But I mean, when we're jumping like way ahead now, but the final stand that me and you had, Shannon Lane and Jim Butcher on the boat in Saint Denis.
There were a few others as well. There were Johnny Cipriani and they weren't there for the final stand, although Francis Bermuda was.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat earlier. So we were really wanted at this point, and we were coming out of Saint Denis on the north side, I think, and we knew that law were riding around looking for us all the time. This was after the big Blackwater robbery where we were wanted a second time, and we were wanted at $1,000 each at this point. And yeah, we were just out in Saint Denis. At this point, I think all the law knew we were in New Austin because I'd bought the saloon out there, and that was a part of a dick swinging thing because the idea was we were going to call it Butcher's Tumbleweed Saloon, and it was basically just a real fucking fuck you to the law that they couldn't get us, and I'm now spending this illegally earned money on a fucking saloon. And we wanted to try and create an outlaw atmosphere that was owned by an outlaw, and it's an outlaw saloon, and the law just would not dare come down there. It never happened because we robbed the bank and I got wanted and got it confiscated. So but yeah, so we were wanted for about $1,000 each, and the law spotted us, and I fucking shit my pants, actually shit my pants. And they had I think they've been approved to have more than 8 as well, which we agreed to. We were like, yeah, it's cool because we are very wanted, and they'd been approved even with marshals. You can have obviously 8. I think they're approved for 9 or 10. I think because
it's
of
2 extra, right?
14, but you might be right.
Yeah, that was.
I can't remember. Right, okay.
But they're approved to have higher numbers to pursue us only if they'd got a positive sighting of us. And yeah, they chased us into the city, and we had this wild ass shootout, riding into the city. I'm panicking, seriously, real life. At one point, I nearly abandoned the guys and thought, fuck them, they can die. But Johnny Cipriani comes off his horse, and I think Shannon Lane's trying to help him back on, but you've got all these law coming towards us, and we're throwing dynamite sticks and shooting back, and Johnny manages to run off through an alleyway. We thought he'd been captured. There's then only 3 of us left. And I just led us to a ship, on the docks. I thought it's a bottleneck. Hopefully we can do something. I don't know. But at this point, we knew that we were quite happy to accept our CK, our final stand. And we got to the ship.
It was very stressful.
It was so tense, man.
There was so much going on. It was hard to know. As we got to the ship, I ran and I said, "I'm the last one, boss. Everyone else, everyone else is gone. Essentially, everyone else is gone.
It's just me and you, boss. It's just me and you.
It's just me and you." Little did I know, fucking Francis was behind us. So as Francis came around the corner, he gets one straight through the head.
Yeah.
So
I kill. So an ECK to it as well. So Francis Bermuda or Mr. B was our member, and as we're running towards the ship, I'm at the front. I've taken cover behind a crate, and Shannon comes running towards me and obviously yells, "It's just me and you, boss. It's just me and you." So the first person I see, I just fucking shoot in the head, and it was Francis Bermuda. So I killed Francis Bermuda. But
it's
at the
like
time,
something out of a movie, though. You know what I mean? It's like
nobody
knew.
Nobody knew that we'd done it apart from me, and I'm sat there going, "Oh shit!"
Was that someone in the chat that mentioned earlier today? Tell him how Jim Butcher accidentally killed his. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So we board the boat. Law surround it. They start boarding it, and we drop right to the back. And at one point, I think there's a clip on our showcase, and Shannon's like, "Oh, boss, where are you? Speak up." I was contemplating jumping off the boat and leaving him behind.
What? Really?
Yeah, man. Fuck that. Like, you're a criminal. So, like, I always played my character
in that moment. That was it.
I always played my character as like it's get rich or die trying. So like you're a criminal. You're a dirty fucking criminal. So make money and fuck over everyone you can to get there. So
even Shannon.
But that was the kind of gang mentality. You know.
Yeah, we were out for ourselves.
Yeah, I didn't do it, obviously. But yeah, we held off the ship, but I fucking killed Mr. B. And then after the whole scene ended, I was like, B, I'm really sorry, dude. It was me that killed you. I'm really sorry. But like nobody knew. I didn't have to admit it because they would have thought it was Law. But I felt so bad. But yeah, Shannon went down on the ship. We both did, and admittedly, I was fucking fuming because we'd said to Law, give us the scene and we will CK. Please give us the scene and we'll CK. I don't mind. Just like have an exchange of bullets and a bit of words and whatever. And we got rushed. And to be fair, they were in their right to do it. Like it was 2 of us versus like 8 of them, and they just fucking rushed the back of the boat and killed us. So Shannon CK'd, Bink was already CK'd, and then I was in the cells. And like again, this was the 2nd time now that I've been captured, but the gap between me being captured, sorry, 3rd time technically, but I was always like months and months and months between me being captured. And you got loads of new Law characters, and they'd all heard about us but never met us. And like we were in the cells, and obviously Shannon's dead, but like all these lawmen were coming in from like Lemoyne, West Elizabeth, and Valentine just to see the Butcher Gang because they'd never even seen us. So yeah, we
How'd that feel, man? That must feel fucking amazing, man.
cool,
People
man.
coming from all over the server just to come and fucking see you guys.
I'm super proud of what we've achieved with the Butcher Gang. Like it is really nice, and we still hear about shit now. Like even the Halloween thing that's just happened, they all dressed up as the Butcher Gang for Halloween. It's really fucking nice. Like yeah, I think the events team or somebody dressed up as Jim Butcher, and then the events team jumped on it, and they were all dressing up as like Shannon Lane and Johnny Cipriani and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I was in the cells, and like Ellery was talking to me, and I was like, "Can I get a cigarette?" And he's like, "Nah, you're a dirty dog and shit." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like,
well, that is Ellery. That is Ellery.
Just getting treated like dirt. And then yeah, they transported me to Sisika, and I had no idea this was happening. And I was admittedly behind my screen pretty pissed off that I got a bad scene. I was going to Sisika, and that was probably going to be the end of my character. And which I'm now very apologetic for because it was a good scene. But
I figured that was the end of the gang at that point.
Yeah, I did. I figured that was it. We're dead. Little did we know that Johnny Cipriani had got away during the chase. He'd never got caught. He fell off his horse, but never got caught. He managed to slip away through the alleyways. And he'd recruited a group of people. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not. I don't know if it's still
say it.
Okay. He recruited a group of people who were good friends of ours, and he basically said, oh, okay, he's already said who it is. It's the Scott family. And they jumped on a boat. They'd literally just like, yep, Johnny Cipriani just said, yeah, I need your help right now. The boys have been captured. I need to get on a boat, and you're coming with me to Siska. And they jumped on the boat and went straight out there, and they sat out there and waited. And they transported me out there. And Cipriani didn't know that Shannon had died and Mr. B had died. And yeah, we had this like crazy standoff on the island of Sisika.
Oh, I remember that because I was out in the water in a boat with Darcy Edwards, and we were like,
yes, you
from
were.
far...
You were.
Yeah.
You were. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I was 100%. I was like, I'm dead. Like, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to Sitska and I'm getting executed, like in the next few days, or I'm getting fucking CK'd right here. Like, so we had this crazy standoff, and they basically managed to exchange some hostages for me. And then we got back on the boat and we fucking sailed away, and the law didn't shoot back, and I was like, oh fuck, we got away. But like everything we did, we just fucking fluked. There was no planning. We just somehow we managed to just wing everything we did. But
we did
yeah.
give them good scenes in return. And
We did, yeah.
Well, that's why they let you get away, man. That's why they didn't shoot you in the back when you took the boat and sail it off, because you gave a good scene, and they know next time we catch him, then we'll get another good scene.
In fairness, that wasn't even on us. That's completely the Scott family. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They provided all of that. That wasn't anything to do with us.
Yeah.
And the lawman as well, like that, for respecting it. In just before that as well, the reason why Bink started running with us, Francis Bermuda, is because we got caught and arrested, and I can't remember the exact reason why, but we were getting escorted to Blackwater. Oh, it's for robbing a train, another train. So we got escorted down to Saint Denis in the prison wagon, and I thought I was done for then. So I had that same experience, although without anyone seeking. Oh, it was the parlor house, my bad. And
it was, yeah.
Essentially, the prison wagon got held up by Jim Butcher and Johnny Cipriani. Just literally, 14 lawmen stood on a bridge, all around each other, like in close proximity. One person on the other end of the bridge just saying, "Yeah, you're gonna fucking do what we say, otherwise we're blowing up the bridge." And it was so cool because they got me and Francis Bermuda off the back of the wagon. We were walking in handcuffs just past everybody. They roleplayed on cuffing us. I tried having my moment of, and I'm gonna need your gun too. Won't give me it. But I would have loved them to give me the gun. But fair enough. I don't. They were a big enough fuck you anyway.
Hey, I just want to quickly point out here, man. Like, we got someone in the chat, Laugh Beyond, where just joined the server yesterday, and they're hearing all these stories, and they're so fucking excited now. You know what I mean? Like this is exactly what I think me and Dib wanted about the fucking podcast. Get someone like you on it, talk about how amazing, how long, and how well built up, and slow burn this has been, and inspire others to greatness. Like this. Thank you, thank you guys so much, man.
No, I mean, thank you guys. I mean, it's we did it for ourselves, really. Like, we wanted to create a gang, and we were like, yeah, let's do this. We like doing this. We're text role players. We like creating stories, and I love like faction showcases. That's my thing. I love creating basic storyboards, and yeah, did it for ourselves. We create storyboards, and that's resonated across the server, and it's kind of nice that it kind of goes to show. I've created a lot of like gangs and factions and stuff on different communities, GTA and Red Dead, and this is the most successful I've ever created. And I think it's just like the people in it, the characters, that we've all got the same mentality. There was no real plan. Just play. Just like go with what happens on the day. Like, don't have a plan for tomorrow. Like, just kind of keep. I mean, I guess we always did have a plan because we do roleplay on that night, which then sets something up for tomorrow. But you just keep doing that.
Of course.
What we would typically find though is if we did plan stuff, it would never follow through, or like people would miss schedules and all. Like not even within our own gang, but because we can't plan stuff with people outside of the gang. It's like if they're not there, all of a sudden the entire plan falls to shit. So it's much better to just wing it and just roll with what you're given. You can't plan things too much.
No, but also the you guys give so much trust to. Like, one of the things I love about RP is that, as I always say, that we're all the main character in our own story, right? But there's 240 people on a full server, so there's 239 other main stories going on, and even main stories for people that aren't even online, right? But you guys are willing to either let someone else take the reign, like the Scott's family coming over to save your asses, right? You just say, okay, well, let them run the show now. We'll just fucking roll with it. We'll just fluke it, or whatever you like call it, you know? Like the willingness to let others control you and your RP, man, it's so fucking good. I love hearing the shit that you guys are telling me right now.
But at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? I mean, regardless if you're a civilian, if you're a criminal, if you're law, nothing you do is just for you. Like the whole server in its entirety, all of it is every single thing you do, regardless if it's owning a shop or if it's being a gang, everything you do has to be put into that big pot that is just RP for everyone to enjoy.
Exactly.
It's really dumb of me to say, because Jim Butcher has quite a big reputation, but don't try and be like a big outlaw, famous outlaw. Don't try and be notorious. Just fucking make a character and just play and just.
But I wanted to comment when you said that in the beginning, because when you, like you said, that you kind of just play it yourself as Jim, but at the end of the day, when you guys have went through enough shit, and that was also, like you said, the first time where you said, you know, tell Valentine that the Jim Butcher gang did this. At that point, it was on character, because I mean, how long is it gonna take the little giveaway thing you want to do?
We'll do once we've wrapped this up. We'll do the giveaway, and then we'll do community questions.
Because I do have. Nah, not really.
Fuck your time limit.
But because I have an idea of what we can do while that's going. But what I wanted to say was, as Douglas, I've never seen Jim do anything bad. Never.
But that's funny. The amount of people that like know Jim Butcher and he's a fucking terrible bloke. Like I've heard some horrendous rumors that like he eats people's organs and shit, and even worse than that. Like, and some, honestly, one of the rumors I heard, I was like, I'm not really sure if I like that one, but okay. It was pretty graphic as well. I'm not going to repeat it on stream because it's probably not even like good for stream. But like, yeah, like, but then I never did any of these things. Like, Jim actually wasn't that much of a head case.
Well, Isaac Huckabee, when he met you, he was very surprised with how
Benny,
laid back you were.
The first time I met Benny, I was wanted at this point, and I was trying to negotiate to turn myself in, and I was going to help them get a corrupt marshal, is what I offered them. I wasn't going to help them at all. I was just trying to bullshit them. Yeah, I met Benny for the first time roleplay, and I've been talking to Mo Asili because of, like, by this point, I think I might have been staff. I think I'd become staff by this point. And like Benny had spoken to me a few times. We'd never actually met each other in roleplay, and he was playing Isaac Huckabee. And yeah, he was like that. He almost didn't believe that he'd met Jim Butcher because I was not what he expected. He'd heard all the rumors, and I wasn't what he expected. Isaac Huckabee was a fucking great character, like really good character.
Brilliant.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
And for us, like, it was a shame that he died because it was really big for us as the Butcher Gang. Like, we were trying to manipulate Isaac Huckabee to kind of basically get Jim Butcher a deal, and work things out. But he died before that could ever happen. But yeah.
Do you remember when we caught him in the streets of Blackwater with an unnamed somebody?
Yes.
And,
we caught somebody snitching, basically, who we'd done business with in the past. When I can say it, I guess, because it's not bad. It's like
I
wouldn't.
No,
I won't say this person. I mean, they might figure it out though.
Yeah,
I was just
don't
gonna
say it.
Oh, okay. We'd done a deal with somebody, and like when they needed support, we were there to basically get support. We were using them like fuck because we were getting somewhere safe to hide and do all our business out the back of a place, a property. I'll say no more. And we'd actually found this person like months later, in a town, snitching.
As we were wanted. Jim was wanted at this time, and so I went into town to do something because I wasn't wanted, and then I saw them, and then I rode out of town, grabbed the entire gang, and everyone just rode into town and surrounded the two of them.
And it
We're
was
just
like
what's going on here, then?
it was like the roleplay, the slash me's of like leaning over my saddle horn and shit, and like resting my elbow on my knee, and I was like, "How's it going, Mr. Huckabee?" And like we were talking, but like Benny told me after he was fucking terrified in that scene, and we get that. Well, I hadn't had that recently, but like I think maybe in the middle point ish, we had a lot of people that said like, yeah, they were really intimidated from the scenes.
Huckabee gave me the same kind of reception as Virgil Meredith after Douglas got me arrested.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you want to go into that, Douglas, I know we mentioned it.
I would love to hear you guys talk about it. And,
I would love to talk
but
about the.
we can have you set up the thing first, and then
yeah. Just let me quickly set this up. All right. On behalf of Ranch Roleplay, we do have a Prio giveaway, a gift card for priority on the server. And especially nowadays, especially with this, as the young kids call it, banger new update that's come out. Some people might sit there and really need banger. I'm a boomer, so I have to pronounce it like that. We do have a giveaway for some priority, and you need that in prime time nowadays because we do have a lot of people wanting to go in on the server right now. So if you want to win this giveaway, you gotta type in the chat. You gotta type dynamite. Okay, I'm not gonna type it this time because last giveaway I ended up winning it. So
yeah, can I do it?
No, but the channel Ranch Roleplay, the channel won the giveaway. So if you type in giveaway, not giveaway, dynamite like that, like everybody else, you are in the role for a gift card for priority. After we've announced the winner, you will have to DM Shali. Okay, everybody knows Shali. She's part of the management. She will then give you the code you have to type in or the actual gift card. So yes, type in dynamite if you want that, and she's right there, Miss Shali, right there. So
hey, in this entire podcast, you haven't said Robert Shackleton in your voice.
Robert Shackleton? Is that Robert Shackleton?
Shackleton.
Do Virgil Meredith as well.
Virgil Meredith.
There were a time where we ran into you, wasn't there?
At Flat Neck Station, because I'll remember that so vividly because I still have the clip, but it's so fresh in my mind when I just see these three guys like riding from the bridge area or from that direction at least coming over to me, and I'm just I see these guys. I don't even know like how to recognize people. It's still so new on the server, and I go, oh hello there guys. I'm looking for some bad people. Okay, I'm looking for Virgil Meredith and Robert Shackleton. They're bad people. They cut people head off and everything. And then they're like, oh really? And I had no idea it was you guys. Zero idea. And then at the end when fucking you started like putting a gun to the side of my head and shoved my janitor badge in my mouth and like I get up and fucking Alex goes, I am Shackleton, and he knocks me out. Like I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. It was them. It was you.
I think a lot of people in that situation would have probably killed you.
Oh,
and the fact that we didn't, I feel, speaks more to like the direction we want to take. Like we're trying to provide you story. We're not trying to take away from the experiences. Like, well, there's no reason to fucking try to kill you. We'll just let you live. Like you don't tell people. It's more story.
Yeah, the one post was out anyways.
You're saying a lot of like we are trying, and you're speaking like we are on ranch now. Is this Jim Butcher Gang 2.0 or?
No comment.
I mean, Jim Butcher is not dead. He's still alive.
Oh yeah, no, trust me. I remember, I've talked so much shit about Jim Butcher, and even in front of Jim Butcher and to Jim Butcher when I was around other people, and but Rainier, my character, is still scared shitless of Robert Shackleton. That's the most vile criminal there is in his mind.
Robert Shackleton's still alive. Jim Butcher's still alive. Big Ken. Junior Cruz, if he still plays, I don't think he does. Bill Burns. There's a lot of people that are still alive. I mean, Johnny Cipriani's dead now, and Shannon Lane's dead now, and Bink, Mr. B. But there's a lot of us still alive. But it just came to its kind of natural ending, I guess. We were so wanted, and it got to a point where like what else can you do? And it just doesn't make sense to carry on. Like after all those people died and we were on the run. I think our bounties. I spoke to Coates a couple of days ago just to catch up with him. Our bounties are up to $2,000 each now, I think. And yeah, it just wasn't worth it. Like, what's the point? So, Jim ended up going to Mexico. I hopped on a boat and went to Mexico. They tried to arrest me in Armadillo again. And I'm suspect. I'm kind of suspect how. Like, I just seem to. I've kind of worked out if I go to a town, I've got 20 minutes, and then that's it. I got to leave because someone's going to report me. So yeah, left, went to Mexico, but who knows? Maybe we'll come back. There's so many things we've done that like I go back through my medal clips occasionally, or like back through our Butch Gang Discord. We still got it, and I go back through like the media section we've got where we used to post our like screenshots for editing and our clips and stuff. And there's so many things we've done that I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot about that.
It's a shame we didn't get to experience it with more people. Like, it would have been nice for more people to have been brought into the gang, not just like experiencing it from the outside, but experiencing the internal dynamics of it all. But we were very selective with who we let in. And it wasn't necessarily like, yeah, it was maintaining a standard, because let's be honest, not everybody's on the same page or same level when it
Jim
comes
would
to
have killed
RP.
him anyway.
But it's yeah, like with Johnny Cipriani, for instance, see it mentioned in chat, like we just ran into him on the road. Well, I wasn't even there, but they just ran into him on the road, and he tried to rob Jim, and that's how we got him into the gang.
So I was coming, me and was he on Robert Shackleton or Conroy Bush? I can't remember, but it might have been Conroy Bush. Me and Alex, who played Robert Shackleton and then later Conroy Bush, we were riding from Rhodes and we were heading up over the bend where the sort of railroad tracks are. And Johnny Cipriani comes over the hill and goes, right, show me. Like, fella, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, he's like, nah, show me your hands right now. And I'm like, fella, you don't even know who I am. I'm Jim Butcher, fella. You don't want to be doing that. And as I said that, Robert Shackleton, whoever he was, Shackleton, it was him, come over the hill with his double barrel aimed at Johnny and was like, put your fucking gun down, fella. And then Johnny instantly is like, oh shit, you're Jim Butcher? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I was about to rob you. Can I ride with you and shit? And then that was it. Like, Johnny then just starts riding with us because he just was like, I could make so much more money with you than just trying to rob you right now. But yeah, and that's how Cipriani joined us.
And he did.
Imagine having the nerves to do that. Well, I'm your biggest fan. Hey, can I join you? Hey, shit, man. Sorry about the gun.
Outside Doug, outside your ranch, someone tried to rob me, and like again, it was like fluke. Like it was.
I remember. I witnessed that.
Last ditch effort to save my own skin was, fella, you don't want to rob me. I'm Jim Butcher, and they'd go, oh, all right, no worries, and they just put their gun away. And I'm like, woo, it paid off. But like, yeah, I think it happened twice. One was with Johnny, one was with the guys at the Olsen Ranch, and I still never knew who those Olsen Ranch people were. I never found out who they were. But yeah, Cal's saying about the parlor house robbery.
Parlor house robbery were great.
Somebody paid us to rob the parlor house.
And do something else, which I was.
Yeah, we won't, and do something else. We won't go into it. Yeah, we robbed.
I will say, we got paid like I think it was like, we were gonna get paid like $250 to shave someone's head.
Yeah. But they just tasked us to rob it, I guess, because they were like, I need someone to rob it, and I'll pay the Jim Butcher gang. So we got approached and we got offered the job, and we were like, yep, we'll do it. So yeah, we went to go and rob the parlor house. We had so many hostages. I think like Shoe Glass was in there. There was a bunch of other like civilians and natives and all sorts of people in there. And we just held everybody hostage, and we didn't really do much. But there was a point where, with our Sashmis, I think I put my gun down on the bar and I started walking behind the bar, and I was like serving drinks to the hostages, and I was there like doing Sashmis and be like, do you want a drink? What's your drink? Like, do you drink rum, like whiskey? And I was like serving Shoe Glass drinks and like, yeah, you know, just helping myself. I think we made off with maybe like 20 bottles of whiskey. That was about it. Like, we didn't get anything from it. It was such a fucking pointless robbery.
It was 8.
8, okay. Not even that. But we managed to get away. I think. Did you negotiate, Shannon? You at the door negotiating?
Yeah, me and then I think I was on the front, and Bink, Francis Bermuda, he was out front with me occasionally as well. But yeah, we just the tactics in like separating lawmen and like how to negotiate. Like, you need to be really quick and witty to not let them get the better of you, but you can't take too much of an advantage because you do need to.
And
You
don't
need to respect
negotiate
your
in
own
seconds
story.
either.
Yeah, don't negotiate in seconds. Christ Almighty,
It's shit.
fucking. If you negotiate in seconds, you're not doing it right. Like, it's
No.
just so immersion breaking. It's no fun for anybody.
5-second head start. No, dude, be different.
When we robbed the building in the bank in Blackwater, I said if anybody fucking moves off this street, those hostages on the hill are dying. Like, you can look up there with your binoculars and you can see my friends looking back. Like, if you so much as move or do anything frisky, like, they're dying, we're gonna set them on fire. So we're gonna walk out of this town with the gold and everything that we've got, and then you can go get your hostages on the hill.
Did we
And they said,
explain
well,
that? Did we go on about the Blackwater thing with the cage? And I think you said that we had the prison wagon, but did you say that we had to go on the hill with the Molotov and shit?
Yeah. So basically, in terms of the negotiations we were given, it wasn't asking for seconds. It was kind of pinning the lawman into a corner in a way that's like interesting for them. So they were saying, well, how do we know that you're trustworthy? How do we know you're not going to torch them anyway when you leave? I said, well, you're just going to have to trust us. And they're going to say, well, you're going to need to tell you guys to come down. And I'm like, I'm not leaving this bank. If I go up, how else am I meant to talk to them? If I'm, you pin them into a corner and you let them walk out of town, then you hold your word. It's like, you've got your hostages. We're not going to fucking harm them beyond.
Hold your word.
Beyond what we've done.
Don't fuck the lawman over if they're trusting you.
We'd said to the law that they have orders if anyone approaches that hill to torch the wagon. So we basically said, like, we put them in a position where they had no choice. It's like, you can't go up there and tell them to come down. We can't go up there and tell them to come down. So as far as they've been told, when they see us leave this bank and we're not being pursued, they're to ride away. So that's the only way you're getting those hostages back. So we kind of like, we had two things going on, and it's all about dividing the law. So they're sending some people off that way, some people off that way, and
limit the lines of communication so they can't organize themselves against you. Essentially, that's giving up the tricks of the trade there. But that's how you do it. It's get away successfully.
Yeah. I wanna just quickly say in 60 seconds. Okay, in 60 seconds we're gonna do the giveaway. And there's 31 eligible users so far. People that have typed in the chat that are not in it are 50, Agent North, A Smart Cow, Bro Game, Mishali, Reanimated Bit, Nightbot. So if you haven't typed Dynamite yet, get it in, because we're gonna do it.
I feel kind of scummy entering a giveaway for.
No, everybody.
I do it just for fun.
I have no shame.
Listen, last podcast, I typed it out as Ranch Roleplay, the Twitch channel, and when I did the giveaway,
he won it.
Yeah, he won it. Like, so we're gonna roll it in 20 seconds. 20 seconds. We want to get that
afterwards. Afterwards, we can discuss how we forged our relationship with Douglas then, because that was a fun time.
Oh, we need to go into that, dude. Like, that was a huge part of our faction.
It was, and it is a incredible example of how Crims and Sifs can create story together. And it is all, for me personally.
You just don't want to lose your ranch. That's what it is.
I'm gonna roll it.
I'm the only one left. It was the thing that taught me most about RP, and it is the thing that has helped me shape Douglas as a character most, 100%. And if people can look forward to interacting with criminal RP and think, wow, I can get a lot out of this, both for me, for my character, improve my own RP, instead of just looking and thinking, I'm gonna lose all my shit. I think that's also gonna do a lot for both sides. I think it's a really good example for that. Let's see. Hey!
The Rolia person. Congratulations.
Rick, he says.
Rick, type out in the chat. Let us know you're here, so you're not some bot or something like that. Let us know that you're here. Big Ken's going to Mexico too. Let us know that you're still here. That
hey management, if Mexico happens, I'll bring Jim back.
He's back
Otherwise,
now.
It's not gonna happen now. They
we
don't want
are.
you back.
There you go.
Yeah, they're like, no, we don't want him back.
Congratulations. Please go on the Discord and find Shally and DM her, or if she type out in the chat right now, you can probably DM her on Twitch, and she'll help set you up. And congratulations on winning a gift card for a priority on Ranch Roleplay. And now back to relationship between Jim Birch Gang and Douglas, and how it forged a strong bond between you guys. Nah, just go on.
So, can I say? I feel like you don't want us to say, Doug. Oh, fuck yeah,
Go
we'll say
ahead.
anyway. So when the Moonshine update came out, when factions got given official, we were one of the factions that first experimented with Moonshine, and we kind of figured we knew the ingredients, and it was going to be crops, yeast. I fucking forgot 'em.
Sugar, yeast, water.
Of course you know. Of course you
He knows
know.
more than us.
Of course you know. So what we did was we approached the ranch and we said, look, we want to set up a moonshine operation. We need somewhere to put it. And this was before the rule change where you couldn't.
Oh, you did more than that. You did way more than that. Because you
Yeah.
eased into the ranch first.
We did, yeah. So we kind of like eased in and helped out with a few things, cattle poachers and things like that, and we kind of developed a bit of a relationship. And then we could get moonshine stills, and we set up a still on the Olsen Ranch property. And for quite a long time, it was fucking hilarious that you could see the smokestack, but because people didn't know what to look for back then, they would be riding past, and there'd be a smokestack like bellowing out of this building, and they
We
had
placed
no
it
idea what
just
it was.
right underneath the chimney, though, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did. Yeah, I've got a medal clip of like my camera like panning around the Olsen Ranch, and then it like hits the chimney and stares at it, and it's like, what the fuck? Because the smoke isn't quite coming out the chimney; it's like quite clipped off a bit. But yeah, we set up a moonshine still in there, and it was like the first time Moonshine was on the server, and we were learning about the script, and Doug was learning all about it. But yeah, we basically did a deal whereas they supply the crops, we create the shine, and we go off and sell it, and then we split the profits.
We split the profits and protect them from poachers and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one gang. They came and started causing shit. I can't remember. They wanted protection money or something from you guys.
Yeah,
And,
I could go into that if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and go ahead. Yeah, go. You go.
Because it was also like a group that started out wanting to protect the ranch, and they started out very great, but they also wanted to have that kind of criminal twist to it, but they kind of pushed it. So their agenda against the ranch was that they were never paid the money that they were owed, and we were like, okay, let's roll with it. But it became very, very often, and at that point, Doug's relationship with the law was kind of becoming a bit, because nothing was really being done. So he was just like, asked Jim and Virgil and Bob, you just deal with it. And well, I've only seen the aftermath of the scene, but it was it was really good.
Can I ask something here?
So-
It
Because
was
this
amazing.
is the very first thing I've ever heard of this. I didn't even on an OOC or IC. I did not know anything about this.
We
Was
kept
this
it very
before or
quiet.
Yeah, we
after
kept-
Johnny Olsen got killed?
This was
It was before. Yeah.
Oh, before. Okay, all right. Okay.
When they first the first Butcher Game member Doug ever met was Virgil. And at that point, was this all the way back in December?
It will have been, yeah. It was a very long time ago now.
Because I remember I was getting kind of chummy with your lore character.
Oh, Buck. Yeah.
Because he was like, because met him in Valentine, and Doug remembered the name of your Mustang, and like, how do you remember the name of my horse? And so they started becoming, and then I spoke with Virgil on the ranch, and I was like, it's the same dude. I wasn't sure. I just kind of rolled with it, and he just needed some. He just needed some vegetables for stew and whatnot, and
Oh yeah, we started cooking
yeah.
stew.
He came back a few times, and this was right after we thought that Johnny had died.
Oh yeah, because Johnny
He
Olsen
faked
faked his death.
didn't he? Yeah.
Yes, and then Virgil started talking about his friends and whatnot, and then he brought them over, and that was Bob and Jim,
Sorry
Well,
to cut
we-
you off. The reason I came round was because Johnny Olsen,
Yeah.
he would provide us information. So when I heard he died, I came round and I spoke to you and I said, I'm sorry for your loss, because he was like our first
Remember.
actual person we knew on the server.
Yeah,
so-
early on the server, I think we met Johnny Olsen. We met him, and he told us about like the fruit salesman, and that this is like early days. We didn't know nothing about the server, and he kind of gave us the first push as to like how to be illegal, but in like an in character way. He told us about the fruit salesman. He explained to us like how to do things and where to get things, and told us like about maybe about grave robbing or something. I can't remember, but yeah,
And he looked out for us a few times when we were
he
with
did, yeah.
like
yeah.
Yeah,
He robbed
'cause
the Mexicans, and then
They
as
were-
the
yeah.
robbery was ongoing, we were there. But he was confused as to why we were there. But he said, "Just leave these guys alone. They're with me.
Yeah, we just
deal with the Mexicans," and we just watched it happen. But we got saved.
it was
remember.
really good because also just for the RP thing, Doug and his brother are very different, and
Yeah.
this like the things that your gang said about Johnny is sides that Douglas has never seen. It's him being a good guy, helping out people, looking out for people. It was one of your guys who was sick. I remember you were talking about IC, and said that Johnny rode with you and he was a friend of yours, and then you kept coming by a few times a week, and then you asked Douglas to do something he didn't want to do.
I don't remember what it was.
I'm guessing that was the moonshine on the
No,
on the
'cause
ranch.
he,
right?
he was in on that because he regretted that he said
Oh.
no to the first thing. It was the sheriff's badges.
Oh, we
to
asked him
make
to
the
forge
sheriff's badges.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we asked him to forge the sheriff's badges for us.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot.
Because he was a
about
blacksmith at the time. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
he
Yeah.
had just become the blacksmith, and he wanted to have a purpose. And he didn't nah, I don't want to upset the others. I don't want to disappoint the others. I got to do this right.
The same badges that we'd bought from the gypsies, which we used to get Virgil Meredith out. In the end, we'd asked Doug if he could replicate them. Like we gave him the badges and said, "Look, can you?" I think we gave you the deputy badge and we kept the marshal one, and we wanted to see if you could make one, like forge one. And yeah, I remember that now. I remember.
It's probably for the best you didn't, because given
Yeah.
those badges were what broke me out of prison after killing your brother.
Guys,
Pretty much.
I know we're having a great time here. But we still have some more stuff on the to do on the podcast before we finish. I just want to let you guys know we've been going for an hour 45 minutes right now. We do have more because we also want to have community questions from the chat that can ask Jim Butcher and Sheep questions. But at the same time, I just want to do a public service announcement. To all the people that probably have seen or have not seen on the Discord, there has been an announcement that we have 2 open slots available for anything on the podcast. Go ahead and go apply for it. Right now, I just want to say on November 5th, which is today, we're having the How Rob with Jim Butcher and Sheep, criminal activity. Next week, extra public service announcement. Dip, the brains behind everything, is going to celebrate life or the sun or something, Diwali. So next week will be on a Saturday instead. Next 3 p.m. EST. No scheduling around like we did today, but 3 p.m. EST, but on Saturday instead. The week after that, so November 19th, you can get on the podcast if you want with your idea, your showcase, your family, your gang, anything you want to talk about.
Whatever.
And November the 26th is also open for you to apply for it. December 3rd, we're having an admin showcase where we're going to show you guys on stream how, in a day of an admin, a staff member, how and why we handle tickets, what our thought process is, and how we are supposed to be handling tickets and how we're taught. So you guys have an understanding on how a ticket is being handled from a staff point of view as well to create more transparency. On the December 10th, we're having character creation. Not how to create your character. It's not about how you create your character in game. It is about how to create Jim Butcher, and not Jim Butcher, but other people are going to be on. How to create a character, how to run the storyline, how to evolve your character, how to run RP. And on December 17th, we're having mapping, the mapping team on, how they affect and enhance the role play. And I think that's about it. And then I think we're at the end of the year, not on the 31st. We're having one last one with management that are going to come, and we're going to have one where we just thank everybody. Because the week after the 17th is Christmas, so we're not doing one on Christmas. I'm sorry, guys. But I don't know if you guys have more to talk to, or you want to go get into the community questions for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, depends how long you want us to carry on talking for. I could talk for England, I guess. So we can go on to questions.
Okay. All right. Cool. If anyone in chat has any questions about when it comes to regarding criminal role play, how to start anything up, or in general, any questions for 50 or Jim Butcher or Sheep / Shannon Lane / Virgil Meredith / who. And we just take it from the top. So I don't know, Jim, Sheep, you guys just read the chat. I know you got it open. Go ahead and read it and answer.
There were questions earlier on, but I guess people have to ask them again now. Is that what we're saying?
So the Welshie, how important are supporting characters in the development and success of a game like the Butcher game? How
extremely important.
Yeah, there has to be almost someone in the limelight, because otherwise it takes away from the intricacies of it all. If everyone's just if everyone is a main character, even though
nobody
you are
is
to
the
yourself,
main character.
Yeah, it takes away from like the specialty of it all, and it takes away from the relationships of it all. You need supporting characters to be able to prop someone up on a pedestal and be like, right, look at him, because he's what we're channeling it all through, essentially. I'm sure it can work differently, but even if there are like 2 main characters in the gang, or 3 or 4, there needs to be someone there to kind of knock themselves down a peg and respect these people. Like, sure, like, this is how I respect him, and find your in character reasons as to why, because it almost solidifies that main character's character in a way. It solidifies it.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for each character to have their own personality. Don't just be a yes man like a pawn in the gang. Like, have your own personality, have your own ways to make money, and bring something to the faction. Don't just be don't just join the faction to create roleplay for you. You wanna offer something to the faction when you join it, and that's what we always did when we recruited. But supporting characters are so important. I mean, I wouldn't. The reputation of Jim Butcher belongs to the members of our faction. I didn't create it. I just sat there and went, "I'm Jim Butcher," and basically, yeah, it's important that in all the little scenes we did, the little robberies, the notoriety, the reputation that was built, was all on like, let's build and bolster this character Jim Butcher to use it as a weapon. So that became our biggest like tool, was that, the gravity, the weight that the name carried was massive, and it allowed us to do quite a lot of stuff. And like I said earlier on, is where we can just say to anybody, is say, Jim Butcher wants to talk, so they want to talk, and that would not be possible without the supporting characters. You've got to have the people that support the character to support the faction to get there. So
the supporting characters make stuff way more immersive as well. If you're on a ranch and you have supporting characters, like, those supporting
100%.
characters are the ones digging out the shit from digging out all the cow shit. You know what I mean? Like, you look over in that direction, there's people doing that kind of stuff. It's like that
Gab
pulls
says,
you into the world.
Yeah, like they're the ones that make it feel real, right? And although I also know, like, doesn't matter how much I hate people calling me boss, I want to crawl out of my own skin. It's what makes it a real character,
Yeah.
Like you said, Sheep, it solidifies it.
Slum 15 asked a really good question.
Yeah, that one.
There was the next.
I like to do it
There was the one before
in
that,
an
though.
order. With absolutes. But we're definitely going in on slums as well, because that is such a great question. Absolute goes Sheep and 50. What do you wish you saw more from Law, Civs, and Crims? What do you wish you saw more of?
For me, if I may say, I think people just need to get on better. It shouldn't be law, civs, crims, like pick a side. It should be just we're all in it together. Just great roleplay,
Yeah.
have fun. I feel a lot of times it's just going into the nitty gritty a bit and a bit of the underground, but like there's a lot of backlash between crim factions and law factions. Just get on, just roleplay together, have fun, be willing to CK. And it's not about getting a W like everyone says in this community. There's a lot of W chasing, and I wish we saw less
Every
of that.
community, really.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even bracketize it into law, civs, and crims. As you say, it is everybody. I would say,
but just the fact that you have someone saying that, like separating it into categories, is like no.
I hate the term W and L. I just hate the term itself. Like, you shouldn't see
you
it
just
as
roleplay with each
winning
other.
a scenario. You shouldn't see
In that
it
case,
as
everyone
losing.
loses.
Mm-hmm.
But when everyone loses, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the losses we've experienced in Butcher Gang are W's because it's the dark and gritty nature of it all, which just makes it so much like, oh fuck, now we have this problem to deal with, and it's like everything's just like piling on top of you, and it makes it more immersive and
100%.
pushes your character in different directions. If you never face any problems, how are you ever going to develop your character? Because that's what we're here to do. It's make characters, develop the characters, and
Do you remember
Yeah.
when I had to move house and to sort of explain my inactivity, I role played getting an opium addiction. So
Yeah.
that it like explained my absence ideally, and then for a while the members of the gang questioned my integrity to lead the gang, so it created a bit of role play there. So I had a weakness and I had to re-earn that status. I never got toppled, but like I ideally I had to re-earn that reputation, and I think was it Shannon back then or was it still Virgil Meredith? Gave me a
It
lot
was Virgil.
gave me a lot of shit for it. And I remember that when I got Virgil Meredith out of Fort Wallace, I role played like pointing at his face, and I went, "Just remember, we're even now." And then after that, Virgil Meredith never questioned me again.
Never mentioned it.
He never
it
questioned
was
me
great.
again. Because he'd questioned my leadership, and it was at a point where Virgil Meredith was maybe going to take over the faction. And yeah, I basically got him out of Siska. Got him out of Fort Wallace, and it was like, just remember we're fucking even now. And then he never questioned me again. But it was just like building
Yeah.
that. I had a weakness. I purposely created a weakness to explain my inactivity.
That's what I wish
because I was
people would
moving
do.
house.
Accept the weaknesses, and when they do have an idea, be it law, civ, or crim, when they do have an idea, don't push so hard to get there.
Yeah.
Allow the intricacies to fold over and let yourself be
Give so
carried
much
away
more to
by
your
the
character.
intricacies of it all.
Character building, man. It builds your character so much more than you think, man. Slum. I want to go to Slums. As a criminal.
You missed a question from Mogan's Meta.
How did Sheep's character get those big lips? He did that in character creation.
No. It was lots of kissing up to Jim Butcher. I think it was practice muscle, muscles, you know.
All the kissing ass.
Yeah. Flabby bird looking ass.
As a criminal, were there ever times that you struggled with a scenario that might have been borderline fail RP from any party involved? And if so, how did you overcome it and brush it off? This is such a good fucking question.
I think there's a lot of times, to be honest.
Oh yeah, so many scenes where rules are broken against us, but we just kind of were like, well, we haven't really missed out. Like we can turn this into a bit of an IC thing. Like fuck it, let's just roll with it.
I wish so much more people would do that. Boy, did I wish people would.
There's times where we've reported people, but
Yeah.
we didn't make all that many reports, to be honest. And when we did, it was more so like if we were going to rob someone, like just because you've been robbed before. This is my answer to your question. A lot of the time, people have been robbed before, and I mean everyone's been robbed before. But the issue is that once you get robbed again and again by shit criminals, eventually you'd stop giving people the benefit of the doubt, and on the chance that a good criminal does come along and is trying to experience some RP with you, and all of a sudden you kind of shun them because of previous experiences. You end up entering into that borderline fail RP territory where you are quite like you come across quite toxic. Like we can tell that you're not playing a character anymore. You're playing yourself.
Exactly.
And it's how do you deal with that? Like sometimes, and it depends on the extent where it depends on the extent into which they do it. If it's so much so that they'll just pull guns and fucking shoot at you, and there's no roleplay involved, it's like they're just trying to just venting their anger at you essentially. Like to me, that's like a report because it's like, why are you doing that? But if it's being irritable during the scene and not really like playing along, to overcome it or brush it off, you just have to go above and beyond with your RP to make them realize, like trigger that switch in the brain that makes them recognize these guys are here to RP.
Yeah, a lot of times we've encountered people that get their back up a little bit about being robbed, which we understood. We got it. So we just keep role playing and like try and like Shannon would always like search their person, and like I remember once that you role played stealing a hair clip off somebody, and it was like a gold hair clip in their head, and we didn't actually.
She started crying.
And she started crying, like, and it was pretty good role play, but like she was
role playing. She wasn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. But no, I mean, as in when we've had situations, that was a cool scene. But like in situations where we had people get their back up a little bit, like getting funny about being robbed, and you can tell they're salty. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
And we just go. It then to me, I don't know if it's the same for you, Sheep. It becomes a challenge to me to make the scene enjoyable, and I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. That actually this scene is going to be fucking good.
Oh
so
yeah.
then I'm
Get
like,
stubborn.
so then rather than me just give the same attitude back or go and report them, I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep role playing this scene. I'm going to keep making this scene fun. I'm going to, I don't know, make them fight each other. I'm going to, I don't know, take their boots and make them walk home. Like I'm going to do something that just makes it different and try and make it so they remember that scene and do something more enjoyable. And I think there's a lot of people that say that. So we did quite good at it.
We've had people shoot us before, like, and it was clear NVL and blatant rule break, fail RP, whatever. And even after we obviously were vastly outnumbered, even after we'd gunned them down, we'd still make the effort to go through the pockets and the roleplay, rummaging through all the shit and taking stuff and taking saddles off our horses, like that kind of shit. Like we're trying to show that
just make
we're
the most
here to interact with you as a character. Like we're here for the scene, and if they have one good experience, even if it's versus like, I mean, 100 bad ones or whatever, it's at least it's still showing like people are trying. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, so someone's trying. And to show that you've made the wrong decision in this moment, and going into future scenes, you never know what to expect because people approach scenes differently.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're right. Sheep and 50. What was the most challenging event that the Butcher Gang had to overcome as a group, and how did they overcome it?
I don't really know.
It
being wanted, like
it's being
ridiculously wanted, is hard. It's not easy. And I've heard people complain about it, saying, "Oh, we can't go anywhere. Law pursue us all the time. We can't role play." But that's what it's. That's it. Like, and I do also hate when laws say can't do the crime, can't do the time, don't do the crime. That annoys me. But in the same breath, I'm like, you're wanted. That is the ramifications of your actions. So we just made it work. We we're
got
always
creative with it, I suppose.
Yeah, we got creative. So don't go into towns. If we do go into towns, like in and out, and you send people that aren't so wanted or so notorious to go and get supplies and stuff. I mean,
all the while maintaining the contacts behind the scenes.
It did become routine towards the end, but I would say that was probably the hardest. I reckon is just actually remain, and genuinely we were active. Like we were active and wanted. We were online like almost every night. We were sad fuckers. Almost every night. But still not being spotted. We were wanted, and we were carrying on role playing, doing stuff.
You're genuinely forced to exclude yourself from a vast majority of the roleplay that's happening because you want to maintain your story and enjoy it, but at the same time, you have to like suppress yourself because otherwise your story is going to end. And do I think that should be the? Do I think that that's an acceptable ramification for being a criminal? Yeah, I do. But I also think, going back to the other question, lawmen should also be a bit more lenient and recognise all right, they are going for a story here. Let's lean into it and let's play with their story.
No, for sure.
I think
let them get away sometimes.
the same can be said for some criminal factions as well. I've seen from time with IFM, I've seen that some criminal factions can be exactly the same. You have a perceived idea of how it usually goes, so you don't give it the chance to be any better. So yeah, but I think that was probably the most challenging thing we've ever had to do. I can't think of anything else.
All right. I have one from pretty baby here. Quite a long one, and it might not necessarily just be you guys. I think this is a mentality on the more of LFM as well. But how does this affect you guys or the server as a criminal as a whole? She goes, I feel as if every law character's endgame is being corrupt, yet there's no investigation into it. As far as I know, no law has had to CK for it. I just want to touch it there. Yes, we have had lawmen that have turned corrupt, and they have literally been in front of everybody in town, in front of a firing squad. We have had that. Captain Dale Brewer turned corrupt, and he got firing squad. Got firing squad in Valentine by his best friend, who was the sheriff of Valentine, Coates back then. But just goes, I also feel like law only care about scripted crime. So I'm thinking here we go bank robberies, selling moonshine, stuff like that, which forces them to be W hungry about scripted crime and makes crims focus on easy targets like civilians, such as ranchers, and avoid scripted crime, which is bad for the community. What's you guys' thoughts on this?
Do you want to go first, Sheep?
I
mean, you got more experience with law side than I do.
I think it's getting better. I know completely where you're coming from. I think in previous iterations of law departments, I think it's definitely along the lines which you say. Corruption is a very broadly used term. I think punching someone in the cell is
it's not
really that corrupt. In fact, it can, if done right, it can kind of tie in well to stories. But it's how you receive the story and how what you make of it. Like, if you're a criminal and you're just doing banks all the time, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's a very good mentality either. And
no,
we didn't do banks all the time. We did one bank because banks are. We did two banks because banks. It's a fucking bank. You know what I mean? Like that's an achievement within itself. Doing 20 banks in 1 week is immersion breaking. Like why? Like, and it's not really. It's not really roleplay. How is an officer meant to roleplay that kind of shit accordingly?
You also can't expect to not get hunted down if you rob like 20 banks, because that's such a big deal. You're affecting the state so much. So, yeah.
You need to be creative with how you weave your stories. It's like just interactions with people. Basically, what I've been saying this entire time, from our experience, it's the interactions you create with people and like the storylines you develop that get you into shit when you least expect it. And it doesn't require scripts because we never robbed stores either. I think we did one right at the start and never touched it again. It's just not for us. We like the intricacies of it all and developing relationships and fucking people over. And
the first store we robbed was awful. I remember that.
Yeah,
it was terrible, and we had a really bad experience with it. And then after that, we decided to stop doing script robberies. But the law has improved massively compared to where it was, like immensely, and so have criminal factions.
Yes. Both sides have improved massively. I'm not gonna lie. If we look back half a year ago to maybe like 6 to 8 months back, and how it was, we had so many criminals just running around going hands, and we had so many lawmen just being big W chasers. It's very different now.
If you think about it as well, in answer to the question of you also feeling like, or rather the statement of you also feeling like law only care about scripted crime, which forces them to be W hungry about banks and such. Given that we never scripted any, never did any script related activities like that, and the lawman was still so hungry for the roleplay because that's what we were providing, and the amount of times we escaped and the amount of times I'm sure they let us escape, I'll be honest, it almost sounds like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like don't be that. Like be there for the story, man. That's what you need to do.
But you have that with everything. You have law, you have crims, and you also have civs that just wants to grind money. But you also have tons of people that don't.
It's in every
Yeah.
community, really. Like it's just what.
The other day, your life is more important, and you can make another $20
Yeah.
dollars tomorrow. So, prime example recently, I don't think anyone knows it was us, but I'm going to tell them. We had an interaction with the Heathens, and this was on our U.S. cavalry characters. And we're not doing that anymore. Like we were going to do it, we decided it just wasn't really. No one had the same ideas, and people want to do different things. So, but we just robbed a wagon, and they must have had fucking thousands worth of dollars on it, like outrageous amount of money on it. And we probably took like a couple of crates, and we still made $250, and they still made like a solid 2,500 out of what was left on there. It was crazy. So we didn't take everything. We just took like a couple of crates, and that was about it, and a couple of guns. We weren't too greedy because of how much was there. And we rode off towards New Austin, and we got confronted by the Heathens. And we probably could have got into quite a solid shootout, and probably could have got them. But we decided to ride away. They basically told us to leave, and it was like, okay, like I've got my $250. I don't need to fight. Like, what's the point? I could risk losing this, or I can just ride away right now, and I've made myself $250 from a robbery today. So that was something that happened quite recently, and I think that we need to see that more. We need to see more people just sort of your life is more important than just getting that shootout or making another dollar. Like, know when to quit.
Mm. Right, we're gonna close down for the questions now. For any further questions, because we still have quite a few questions to go through. Sheep50, how did your gang manage idle time? This is also very important for any gang. But how do you guys manage idle time? Would each individual member go out and force their own story, or was it mostly group activities?
There was instances where we were out on our own. My character, for instance, he sold stamps, and they were just stamps which I'd photoshopped them all, but like I'd just brought them in game, and I'd say that there were rare stamps which because I work for the postal service, like I know they're rare and I've got special access to them. Like there's one of one in the world. I sold about 20 of them.
Did you have President McKinley's locket as well?
Yeah, just President McKinley's locket. Like I was like a con man, you know what I mean? I was scamming
fake.
people. Yeah, it was fake. Yeah, I tried selling you it for like 2,500, didn't I? I think I ended up selling coats it for a decent amount. I tried selling Bird it though. And it was funny. I was trying to sell him President William McKinley's locket, and yeah, he said that he hated him and that he wasn't very patriotic and he hates this country and shit like that. I was just like, you ain't very patriotic there now, sir. I don't like you. And we got into a big argument about it. But yeah, I was just trying to scam him for a lot of money. I was just scamming people, but like in a creative way, I guess, to emphasize within the gang that, I mean, everything we did always contributed towards the gang, because if I'd get money, I'd kick up to Jim.
Yeah, we're going to the
like that was like my role.
We had a ledger.
When
you had a book.
Yeah. And when we were out on our own, yeah, we just do stuff which benefited the gang. Occasionally, I suppose we'd go out and do stuff on our own. Whenever Jim wasn't around, though,
that was when the shit used to happen. Yeah,
a funny trait of that was things would go wrong. Like me and Johnny we robbed one bank once, and then Johnny Olsen also. And me and Johnny Cipriani robbed a bank. And then me and, like, when Jim wasn't there, and then me and Robert Shackleton killed Johnny Olsen when Jim wasn't there. But we'd have never done that if Jim was there, because he literally held the characters in line. Like he'd threaten you, and we gave him CK perms as well. So there was always that threat.
Everyone had CK perms, even on me. So anybody could have CK'd at each other at any time. We did keep it like that the whole time. That's why Johnny Olsen got CK'd, because obviously he was part of our gang.
But it's good to go out and do your own things as well, because it helps you build character and you meet potential other people. You know, if Jim Butcher hadn't gone out on his own without Virgil and Robert, how the hell would he have ever met Johnny Olsen? You know what I mean? Like trying to rob him. You know, or was it Johnny Olsen? Cipriani. Yeah. How would you ever, if you didn't go out and do shit on your own? You know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, as the factions leader, I suppose it's good to touch on this because of other people that might be faction leaders. as the factions leader, generally speaking, as soon as you're around, everyone's on. That's generally how it goes. But yeah, we tried to push a point of. So the way I tried to establish it was a bit like a mafia kind of idea from my background of that roleplay on GTA. Is everyone's expected to kick up to the pot, like the fund, once a week, a bit like what they do in the story mode. So you're kind of expected to go off and do a job and bring back that money and contribute. And then to be fair, with that money, we'd buy horseshoes, we'd buy food, buy ammo, gun cleaning kits. I think we bought once like $300 worth of horseshoes. And like we were set for life. Like for like the entire gang, we still had horseshoes left when the faction ended. So we just bought
Hundreds of them.
shitload, fucking hundreds of them. But like
I think I used
when
about 3.
you came back with them, I was like, why the fuck did you do that? But like they were really
But it
useful.
gave roleplay.
yeah,
It gave
yeah.
roleplay to the other. Like, all of the money we were earning, we were giving back to people.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
We're pushing
way
it
or
back
another.
in.
Yeah.
We're buying food, we're
Yeah.
buying horseshoes, we're buying ammo and gun cleaning kits and stuff. And then obviously when we became official, we had a faction like hideout and a faction storage. So we would basically just put everything in there. And then like Virgil Meredith would keep a ledger of stuff. And we would then challenge people. Like if something's missing, they'd get challenged. Who fucking took this? And it would kind of create a bit of conflict from it.
And you'd reference the ledger and see that it wasn't like the ledger was always in game as well. So if I ever got caught with that shit, it was always evidence. Like we created the weaknesses intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't want to be untouchable ever.
We didn't actually have a ledger in Discord. It's not against the rules to do that, as long as you've got one in game. But we didn't have one in Discord as a backup. We only had the book. That was it. But yeah, I mean, when I wasn't around, people tended off to go and do their own things, and find their own jobs or meet their own and make contacts, and then people would come and say, "Oh, I met this guy. He's a blacksmith in make it up Tumbleweed. Like we got to go and do some business with him. Like we got to go and work with him. Maybe we can do this and do that." And that was how we kind of worked. I didn't really get much of my own idle time as the leader. Generally, if I'm around, I'm around. That was kind of and everyone's about. But it's really important as like a faction leader to try and create roleplay for your members to do whilst you're not around. However, like I used to in the early days get really wound up. I'd log on and I'd find out that like somebody's done something really dumb, like fucking behead Johnny Olsen and deliver his head in a cooking pot, to Coates' house. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, why would you fucking do that? You fucking idiots. But after a while, I just was like, it's just in game. Like, don't get bothered by it. Like, just whatever.
But that's also the characters, though. Like, when you weren't like, you were literally like you quelled like all of the conflict a lot of the time, and you had it your way, and we let you have your way because you had Jim. Like the characters let you have your way because you had Jim Butcher.
Yeah.
But when you weren't around and there were no controllers, like we were the characters, we weren't doing anything rash that we wouldn't suggest when you were there. It's just you would prevent us from doing it.
All the crazy shit, like the really mental shit, tended to happen when Jim Butcher wasn't about. So
if Sheep and 50, if you guys could absolute, if you could give a piece of advice, just one piece of advice to all the role players on the server, not just criminals, everyone. One piece of advice from each of you. Which one would that be?
Don't. It sounds really stupid, but have a backstory, but don't predetermine who your character is. Just play. Make a character with a rough idea of kind of the idea that you kind of want and what you want to look like. Don't think like build this entire real restrictive backstory that kind of makes who your character is. Let what happens in game be your character. Don't try and like I want to be this badass fucking gunslinger. Just let it happen. Just you kind of have that direction, head for it, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I think just go with the flow. Don't try and script, predetermine. If things don't go your way, don't try and push it your way. Just go with it. Like literally, don't have a plan. Just do things. And then you'll end up with a really good character. And having a showcase is fucking awesome because I love being able to go back through like 6 months of development and go, oh, it's really fucking cool. Like look at this real deep character that I've got, and it's good fun. That would be my advice.
Sheep?
I would say my piece of advice would be to give people leeway and room to roleplay themselves. And by roleplay themselves, obviously, I mean the character, but you need to let people roleplay and don't take the scene and make everybody else shut up and pedestalize yourself. Let everybody have their say in the scene and like weave their way in and out of it. Like if it's, oh, I don't know, say you've got a hostage handcuffed, like let them do something. Like even if it's right, I need you to move back. Like go sit in that corner. Just have them move around, let them interact in some way or another.
Yeah.
Or like have them come outside and say their piece. Like you tell them what we're doing outside this, doing inside this bank. We treating you right, you know. Like don't just really just interact with people. And from a lawman's point of view, it's like I play a lawman as well. Give the criminal some room to roleplay. Like know that you are going to catch them eventually, I'm sure, but now's not always the time. Even though it goes further and it lets you do your paperwork and it lets you catch them, you really need to just play it as the character, but not so deeply that even though you are a law-abiding citizen and you might dislike criminals, you need to take a bit of a breath and recognize that at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun and we need to let each other's stories breathe. So give them that role-playing bone within the scene and let them have options to go away. Like /me turns his head away for a brief second as he pays attention down the street. Let them fucking slip out the back alley then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, give people the opportunities. Create the stories, make it immersive. Yeah.
Good shit. Camilo Classic goes, what do you guys look forward to on Range with the crime families and gangs? And is there anything you guys want to see more of?
Well, we're not IFM anymore, so it's not really down to anything to prove to us. But
as a player and a person,
as a player, I mean, I just love seeing. I mean, the first thing that I look on any community is like the faction showcases. I want to see a really good. I did just say don't rock a backstory, but like I liked seeing a bit of like a brief overview, and then just good screenshots, a bit of like overview of what happened in that scene. And I like seeing that, and I like seeing people planning, kind of having these ideas. And I think particularly with crime families, I'm real hot on that because I read a lot of like true crime books and Italian organized crime stuff. And I love seeing like the whole setup of having these associates. Then you have your soldiers, and they go off and make money. They kick up to their capo, and their capo then kicks up to the underboss or the boss, whatever. I like seeing that. I mean, what do we like seeing? I don't know. I don't like seeing uniform. I think what I don't like seeing is probably more appropriate.
yeah.
I don't like seeing people dressing in uniform, like where they're all wearing the same outfit. I fucking hate that shit. Please don't do it. Coming up with like really gnarly names, like the Hell Givers. Just call it like the Shannon Lane Gang or the Butcher Gang.
Exactly why I was commenting on you before, with the Jim Butcher Gang, because I've read somewhere that that's what they did back in the days. There was literally just the main guy, the posse leader. It was his name, followed by gang. Just do that. Don't come up with any intricate. We are the gym trainers of Annesburg. Just fucking main man. Let him run it.
Rats.
Yeah.
And the other thing for me as well, like something I don't like seeing. Sorry, this is like completely opposite of your question, but like that's probably easier. So many factions fall out with each other. Like OOCL, like the members fall out, and it's just like fucking get on with each other. What's the problem? Like I don't understand that. Like it's a shame in a way that our faction, like Jim, didn't die in some good way, and then someone else take over. Because I would have just made an alt, developed, and then eventually met them, ICL, and joined. But I think, if the leader changes ICL, it changes ICL, but ICL will run the faction together.
Yeah.
So I just want to see people get along and stop fucking falling out with stuff that's so petty. Just play your faction and have your character, and don't snitch for really dumb reasons. Because if you snitch, you should accept the ramifications of your actions. You should accept that you should be probably getting CK'd if they catch you. I mean, the gangs I look forward to most are just gangs, like no real theme, just like a like a Jim Butcher gang, like a Dutch Van der Linde gang. I suppose that's the best comparison for our faction. Is that's the sort of thing we were, is the Dutch Van der Linde gang.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that I find exciting and look forward to.
I think I agree with him in that as well. I would say
I would say that that's my answer too, because
All right. No, it's because
if
it's a great
we're-
answer. Great answer.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that then.
Again from Absolute then. Sheep 50. How has your roleplay evolved over time? Did a specific point in time come when you started noticing your quality has improved? What motivated you to do better? Like, cause I remember in the start you said he was a throwaway character. You turn in, you know.
You go, Shane.
So, yeah, I suppose because I come from text-based RP, the accent was never something which I ever considered doing, and it was weird to me when I first started doing it. But I didn't actually start on another server. I didn't actually start with an American accent. I was just speaking like I am now.
Yeah.
And I realized quite quickly that that's not going to fly with me. And it's fine that some other people do it in their own accent, because I don't know any different. I don't know that that's your own accent. But for me, it didn't make sense for someone with my voice to be in 1899 US being a gang member. It's like it just took away from it so much. So I had to start putting on an accent. And the moment I started putting on an accent,
why are you mugging me off right now?
Yeah, well, it is targeted.
I know it is.
No, it's not. It's for myself. Like, you remember when I was doing the voice, and when I switched to
Virgil
doing
to
an
Shannon,
accent, I realized how immersed I got, because I knew that I wasn't playing myself anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and like things would just come out, and like the way I'd have inflections on my voice and stuff. It was like that's reacting raw to the scene, and not. I'm completely in character, and I just completely forget that I'm from Yorkshire. You know what I mean? And I'm completely in character and ingrained in the scene, really. And that makes my Mies better. It makes everything better. It makes how I move better, like the speed I set my mouse and walking around in scenes. It's like I'm completely immersed. And I suppose that immerses other people as well, because I know when other people are immersed or play immersive characters, it makes it so much better. And Jim eventually, I'm not just to show I'm not digging him. Over time, I saw him develop, and he did start reacting to different scenes in different ways.
Yeah, I don't know when the turning point was, but yeah, there came a point where, sure, like Jim was quite a lazy character. He is a lazy character. But as time went on, and I suppose as my reputation got bigger, I started leaning into the notoriety and leaning into the intimidation. And a lot of people used to say to us that they find our scenes really intimidating. And I kind of lent into that, and then kind of took that and harnessed it more, and tried to really. Well, I don't really know if I did. I didn't try too hard to intimidate people, but yeah, I lent into the reputation basically, and tried to lean on what I'd created, and my tone of voice maybe changed slightly.
They definitely did.
My tone of voice changed slightly, and I think a lot of people said I used to speak quite slow and like space out my words and almost like quite monotone. And that was just me like being my character, I guess, and I became my character as time went on.
Yeah.
And in truth, I've only recently got into doing voices, and I suck at most of them. And I still get really embarrassed by them. But I'm getting there, and I've made a couple of characters, like my US Cavalry one, where I haven't told people it's me, and I'm just doing it and trying to like learn to do the accents, and they're kind of throwaway characters I'm just practicing doing accents with. So I get it. I get it. It's quite hard. I come from a massive text background, so I did fucking like 10 or 12 years of San Andreas multiplayer, which is all text. So I'd never done voice roleplay until I came to Red M. So I think maybe, yeah, well, you got into it, Sheep, way quicker than I did in terms of voice acting and stuff. But yeah, I guess I became my character a bit, and then I learned. I made an Italian character in the city, and I did like an Italian accent, and that I love, and I've kind of really got into that. But I guess that's when I noticed it kind of changed. Was there was like a turning point at some point in the Butch Gang where I realized the reputation I could lean into.
It's like Alex says, you know, if you're scared of trying to do it, it's a shoot. It helps a lot to not feel like you're playing yourself, or to separate your character from you. And like Alex says in the chat, repetition. Doesn't matter if you're bad at it. Doesn't matter if you're doing a terrible British accent if you're not British. do it anyways.
Yeah, like
people's
Alex is the
voices
same.
and accents changed over time from when you start the character anyways, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like when I look back to some of the clips from early days Rainier, I can tell how much my voice has changed and the way my speech pattern is on him, because it just becomes more of a natural thing than to build into it. I was looking at Peter Walsh clip earlier today from the very beginning of the server. I listened to
Walsh
his
is
voice, how
great.
much but I listened to how much his voice has changed. Everybody's voice when they do a voice changes over time. Once your vocal cords gets
you
more
get better, yeah.
accustomed to it and you get better at it. Yeah. No, so repetition. Before we finish this up, I just want to do the last one from Mons Meta. Mons Meta said, "What do you think the law carry a scope weapon when something is a crosshair is not allowed?" That's not really a question because we've had criminals with the it's an in-game gun. It's fair to use. Criminals have had it. Laws had it. Lawman has it right now. I don't know if there's more than
Farmers
one
has
on the
had it.
server. Yeah.
Well,
so,
Scope's guns got removed. Are they back again?
Well, we do have a lawman that's currently having a Carcano.
agree with
But it
See?
doesn't have a scope. It doesn't have a
See,
scope.
look, we step away and that's it. All these fucking things slide in. Now
If it doesn't have a scope, that's fine.
It doesn't.
In my
They
opinion,
took the
Right,
scope.
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. As far as we knew, because it was something we really pushed for, was getting rid of scope rifles because it didn't encourage roleplay at all. You can't roleplay from 200 meters away. So yeah, we really pushed to remove those. But I don't see any scene that scope rifles work. Every community I've ever known has not had scope rifles. They've intentionally removed them. So I don't get it.
No, I think it might be because people have seen the Carcano and thought that's a scope weapon. I know they have a Carcano. I know Lawman has a Carcano.
Yeah, they were in. I mean, some crims have one.
I sold it to him.
For a while, there was a percentage. There was like a 1% chance that you could get them from a bank robbery. And that, as far as I know, got removed, or the scopes got removed, I think. So they no longer have a scope, but they still like hit like an absolute freight train.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't have scopes. They didn't.
Okay. All right. I wanna wrap this up with saying thank you guys so much for coming on. Like, this has been a real eye opener. I mean, like, you guys have really talked about some really good stuff, and I feel like this has been really not only informative, but I have learned personally a lot from this.
Are you rushing to wrap this up, bud? Because I really want Douglas to explain what happened on the ranch. I don't know if people want to know that, or like between Butcher Gang and Douglas Olsen.
Yeah, go for it.
If you've got stuff to do.
No. We'll wrap it up after that. Go ahead.
Hey, you want me to do it?
We'll, continue from where we left off, because we were mid-talking before we started answering questions. So I didn't want to cut you off, that's all. So we were on the subject of how we met, and I think we got to the point where Johnny had just died, and
Fake died.
faked his death, and I came to say, "Oh, sorry for your loss," essentially.
Yeah, it kind of eased in, and in that point, I had pretty much done nothing with my character at all, because we started out, the group of us that did the ranch, but there was just not enough. It didn't make sense that we had so many people farming, because nobody needed, like, all the new saloons and whatnot were just starting up. So I was just like, okay, Doug's gone farming. Johnny dies. We need a new blacksmith. All right, that's what he does. And he kind of wanted to, like I said, prove himself, but then he regretted it a lot, because he had no friends really, apart from the people that came and visited the ranch and customers and whatnot. He didn't do anything. He would never left the place. And finally, that somebody came in and he was like, "Man, I regret I didn't at least figure out what they wanted to do with those badges and whatnot." Because I remember Jim said, "Promise you, no one's gonna get hurt."
Yeah,
I can't remember. I can't even. I lied to
Yeah.
so many people, dude. Like,
Yeah.
there were even times where I was like, "Oh yeah, here's your cut of the money." I'd already swiped off like $100. Like, that's just what a criminal's about. That's what you got to do.
Of course. But it's like that whole thing was what spoke to Douglas, because he was like, "Yeah, I don't." He always said, it's not criminal if no one gets hurt. Like, as long as no one gets hurt, he doesn't have a problem with it. So we went in with the moonshine stuff, it's like, okay, the only difference between this and tequila is that I don't have a license.
You
Right,
said
doesn't
there was
hurt.
the guys, the group of guys as well, who were hounding you for money for protection,
Mm.
and
Yes.
so basically, I rode up on the ranch one day, and by the way, the reason why I'm giving you this is because you are a great role player as well. Like in terms of the scenes you give and stuff like that, like it's one
Thank
thing saying that we're all right. Like you're up there with the top few best RPers on server, in my opinion. But when it comes to like the interactions with characters, like you didn't just band together to destroy this single group. You kind of went with the story, like yeah, protection, owing you money, and you really created a story out of it. And then when I rode to the ranch and I saw them like hounding you for the money, and you hadn't really been telling us this. Like I went up to them and said, "Yeah, I work here, but I've got some interesting stuff for you, which we can supply you." And I rode out with them after they were just hounding you. So you probably think, because you're in the dark at this point, you probably think that I'm siding with them. So they take me to some. I'm outnumbered. It's like fucking 12-1. They take me to some cabin in the middle of nowhere, and I'm pleading for my life, essentially saying, "No, we can give you moonshine. We can do this. Yeah, we'll set up a meet. And this should pay off your debt. This should pay off Douglas's debt, but you have to promise never to touch the ranch again." And then when it got to the point of setting up the meeting, we laid an ambush in the Moonstone Pond, I think. And when they rolled up, yeah, he said, "Oh, hallelujah, praise the Lord," or some shit like that. And all of a sudden, the moment he steps foot in the area, like given the amount of shit that he's been giving you for the past few days, weeks, I'm not sure, everyone just ambushes him. Like people from the ranch, just obviously it was all within numbers, but it was like you never saw them again. Like we met them
exactly.
with necessary force, and it felt like a victory in a way that was it progressed the story. You know what I mean?
It not only the story, like Douglas changed that moment. Douglas also realized that sometimes you have to hurt in order to keep your family and what you have safe.
Right.
He always
And,
used to be like 100% pacifist, nothing, didn't want to hurt no one. That moment right there, showed him that some people, to him, deserve to be hurt.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like we could see that when we were playing with you, that like you were changing your attitude on certain things depending on the situations which were thrown your way, which is character development. You know what I mean? So we could see that you were playing a character, despite him looking like you in real life, which I remember you saying.
Lack of
You look
imagination.
exactly like your character. You do.
I know. I made him in a panic. And initially, I wanted to give him an Irish accent, but I couldn't do an Irish accent, so I was like, "Fuck it."
I can't do accents, bro. Don't worry about it.
And then the moonshine operation on the ranch and having that go through, and then I think people were starting to get suspicious from in the lawman sphere, and I think you told them something you shouldn't have done, and
you know what? I didn't tell him nothing.
But somebody said that you did,
Yeah.
and they said that someone on the ranch knew about it.
Yeah,
or someone on the ranch had told them.
Yeah, Coates made a lie to see if you took the bait. That's when.
And we did, because our justification for killing Johnny was that, oh well, it must be you. Why have you faked your own death, and why are you still alive, and why have you come back to involve yourself in criminal activities?
Because the funny thing is, I think if Jim had been there, he wouldn't have taken that bait.
Probably not.
Because Coates didn't have proof, and I think that adds even more to the story.
Yeah.
And also that you told me that he gave Shannon shit for something else that also happened.
Can we not say that, no?
Oh, what, for you taking his weapon when you robbed him?
Yeah, but can we speak about that situation? Because that was great RP from fucking everybody in that scene.
Yeah, you can.
So months later, obviously he got Virgil Meredith arrested, and obviously you should never take revenge for your characters. It wasn't necessarily taking revenge for Virgil Meredith, and I think Douglas was quite quick to recognise that
we were there to roleplay. So on my
It
other
was a
character,
coincidence.
it was a coincidence. Yeah, we ran into him in Saint Denis, and he had a wagon which was, unbeknownst to me, it was filled with diamonds and everything. Just before we attempted to rob the wagon, and when we robbed the wagon, we recognized that it was Douglas. But Douglas knew me from trying to scam him, for a pocket watch or whatever. So he knew who I was. So when he recognized me, obviously that was an issue. But we took him to, where was it now? We took you somewhere.
In the woods.
Yeah, in the woods with the wagon. And I think one of the gang members said, "Isn't this the same guy that got Virgil arrested?" And that's when I kind of like jumped on board and went, "Oh yeah, we got the boss's enemy here," or some shit like
No,
that.
the moonshining was mentioned in one of the songs he'd written in his book.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we made you sing the songs, didn't we?
You did.
Yeah, we made you sing
lovely.
this. When we robbed him, we went through his book and
I
he had
remember
lyrics to
this,
a
yeah.
song, so we made him get
I
his guitar
remember.
out and.
Yeah, I remember hearing
I
about
know,
this. I wasn't
yeah,
at the
and then
scene, but I remember hearing about it.
He sang his song to us, mentioned moonshine, and then everyone started realizing, like, wait, it was us who supplied you moonshine at the ranch. So I think I shot you then. And
No, you asked somebody else to do it.
Oh, someone shot you, didn't they? That was a dark scene, man.
It was.
That was a
Very
really
much.
dark scene. I was role playing, like, orchestrating the entire like movement on whilst you were singing along. Yeah,
was
fun
really
times, man.
That's how you rob people, basically. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't remember
How
what you said.
Rob, right there. How
That's
Rob.
how rob.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, right, we just had the how Rob right there. Is there anything you guys want to
Make
say?
people sing songs.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to say here before we close it out? And
No, just thank you for inviting us to the stream. It's been
no,
real
thank
fun.
you, man. Thank you.
It's real nice. I mean, I gotta say, it's real nice that we get a lot of comments from the community about our faction, and it's real nice that we put a lot of effort in, and ultimately we did it for
When it's
ourselves.
recognized.
We enjoy it. I really do love that it's still recognized, and like even now, we're not really playing the server much anymore. But like people are still talking about our faction and still giving us credit, and it's nice to hear. So yeah, thank you for everybody really for the feedback we get. It's great. Maybe we'll come back. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a new faction. Jim Butcher's not dead. I've also toyed with the idea of creating Jim Butcher's son. I don't know how I feel about it, but
Did someone already do that?
Oh yeah, somebody created my fucking brother or son or something, and yeah, they didn't ask permission. But yeah, we'll see. But ultimately, yeah, thank you guys for inviting us to the podcast, and thank you to the community really for giving us credit and making us feel proud of our faction.
Yeah, the only reason we don't play anymore isn't. I mean, we like to take a break, I suppose. Personally, I know I do.
We played
after I create a
Everyone needs
character.
breaks every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're creating a new character, like you need that kind of downtime. To be able to like regenerate and come back with more motivation, because at the end of the day, it's fucking effort grinding out to get back to where you once was. But
Yeah.
part of that journey is enjoyable, but it's also quite tedious. So it's like regaining that motivation to do so. Is yeah, but then you come back and you make an even better faction. So we'll see.
Fuck yeah. All right, we need to figure out who we're hosting, rating, call it whatever you want. I'm old school on Twitch, back when it was called hosting. So we need to figure out who we're sending you guys to. As
Agent North. He's streaming.
Benny.
Yeah, can you guys type out names in chat to the people who we're hosting? Because I cannot go on the Discord, because if I go on the Discord and check, Dip disappears from your guys' screen.
That'd be a
Fucking
shame,
50
wouldn't it?
disappears as well, and you guys. So give me some names.
Benny
I've already
is streaming right
disappeared.
now. Benny is streaming right now.
Benny, Agent North, Peter Walsh. It's really up to you guys. I'm just gonna type in /raid, and then you guys can pick whatever. I don't think Virgil Fitzgerald. I don't think we haven't hosted him before.
Oh, yeah, Cornwallis as well.
Have we? That's Kush RP. I think someone
I
last
think
time
so.
mentioned Kush RP, and we went with who did we go with instead? We went with someone else.
Corn, I think.
Nah, was it Corn? No, it was Roll. Was it Roll Montana? Yeah.
Oh, was that not the date? Not. I don't know.
No, but let's go with well, is it Kush RP? Let's do Kush RP. Isn't it Kush RP? Am I wrong? Yes, it is Kush RP. Let's send it that way. Any shout outs you guys want to do before cause you got 1 minute now. 1
Shout out
minute.
to Goose.
Shout out to Goose.
I don't really have any shout outs.
I
Wait,
do.
no
The entirety of the
shout-outs?
Butcher Gang, man.
You got Bill Burns. A lot of the Butcher Gang members went very unnoticed, and
Yeah.
that's because we were a small gang. We didn't bolster our numbers. So for the people who were involved in the Butcher Gang, Bill Burns, who was played by Keeb. You got Johnny Cipriani, who was played by Cal. Robert Shackleton, who was Alexievich. Who else did we have? Help me out here. Johnny Olsen, of course. He was great.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Manlington, Lucius Decker, Mink,
Decker, yeah.
Arthur.
I mean,
That's not Lucius Decker. That was Luther Decker.
Luther Decker.
Decker.
Arthur Decker.
Oh, it was Lucius and Luther Decker. William Pinkerton, Junior Cruz, Big Ken. We had a lot of people in the faction over
Francis
the months.
Bermuda, of course, as well.
Francis Bermuda, yeah. So, and then yeah, that's
Thanks for making it possible, boys.
when we
Right.
start on our next faction on Ranch, please. There's like a small handful of us ready to do it, but like we're all waiting for everyone to go. Let's do it.
All right.
So yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, sounds great.
We're looking
All right.
forward to it.
Well, see you guys next Saturday, next week. So have fun. Thank you for today.
Mhm.
All right. The raid has been hosted. I'm clicking the